Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight we have actress and author Karen Lorre on tonight. She's the author of Chronic Pleasure, Effortless Enchantment, and Chronic Pleasure blah, in Relationships. I feel like I'm going to trip over the title of that Chronic Pleasure. I blush a little bit when I say that one, but no, it's about how the mind affects the body and how to live with more compassion and joy in your life. And I'm interested. I met her on, I got crap for going back on Twitter or X from some of my friends and family. And but hey, I met Karen on there, and we're both RFK Jr. fans. Yes, that's how we met. I don't care. So if we talk a little bit about him later, I can't help it. But she's a very fascinating person, and you might have seen her and stuff, as an actress. She has over 1,000 hours in television. I think she was on One Life to Live. I know she was in an X-Files episode. Yes, I looked her up on IMDb. But I am totally excited to have Karen. She seems like she has so much energy. I'm so excited. And, of course, we will open up the phone lines later in the show for you to call in. And I hope I got the one phone line fixed. Last week it went down, crashed. It's an old phone that I use for an extra line. I hope I fixed it. I don't know. If not, we still got the other line. And, of course, a lot, as always, of weird to get to in the World Wide Web Weird. So we got a lot to get to. So let's go ahead and get rolling on into the show. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. As I said before, I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight's guest, Karen Lorre, will be joining us after the World Wide Web Weird. I am just starting on my words tonight, I guess. And after our first commercial break. Joining me, as always, from beautiful California and beautiful herself, is Jamie D. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
Doing well, thank you.
And so, question to the audience I will ask for you, Jamie. Because you're telling me your cats are acting weird. Like you said, earthquake weird. I'm like, don't say I know. Anybody else out there having their cats, it doesn't matter if you're in California or not. I think it's, I don't know. If your cats are acting weird, comment in the chat room. Let's hear it, because they, cats know. They got a sixth sense.
And I have gotten some messages asking me that lately, too.
Yeah. So something's cooking. Joining me from Florida, and he survived the hurricanes, Rob Autry himself. How you doing tonight, Rob?
They're acting crazy here now.
We got earthquakes, hurricanes, doomsday, people. I tell you, no, it's not. As I said before, we got a lot of weird to get to, so let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, I thought I'd start off. We've been talking about Avi Loeb, his research at the bottom of the ocean for what he believes maybe even extraterrestrial craft that crashed on the ocean floor, and they're discovering all that. And there's a lot of people looking on the ocean floor things, and I saw this one. It's been very viral, and it kind of hits a nerve with me. I don't know what it is about eggs, but mysterious golden egg discovered on ocean floor. And I guess why this story piqued my interest is I've had a lot of recurring dreams over my life, and one of them always involves a golden egg. I know that's some archetypical thing. I'm not going to get into that. But when I saw this, I thought that was weird. And it looks like something out of, Alien. It really does, this egg. For those listening on the Paranormal Soup Radio Network, we are a webcast streaming out live to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and on, if you're listening, on internet radio on Talkstream's Live's Paranormal Radio app. If you want to watch, come watch. If you want to listen, I will narrate as horribly as usual, but we got to check with Rob here because he was having trouble. I might have to pull up my Dropbox. I don't know. Are you getting anything, Rob? I think you're muted. You're muted. Oh, we got something. We got weird. Okay, here it is. Mysterious. Look at this thing. It looks disgusting. I don't know what it is about eggs. It's like when we had that one guest on. My mind blanks on it when he talked about these demonic beings leaving ultra-dimensional eggs in your auroric field and stuff like that. That creeped me out. But this one, discovered by researchers during an ongoing National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration expedition. That's a long title. The egg was golden color and made of a thin skin-like tissue. And obviously whatever was in it hatched. It was found approximately 2 miles beneath the surface of the Pacific off the Alaskan coast. Something tried to get in or to get out, said one of the researchers. To study it further, it looks like something got out. To study it further, the team used a remotely operated arm and vacuum to retrieve it. Yeah, they didn't go down and get it, right? And bring it back up to the surface where DNA testing will hopefully reveal more about it. I just hope when we poke it, something doesn't decide to come out, another researcher commented. When our collective knowledge can identify it, it's something weird. When our collective knowledge can't identify it, it's something weird. What kind of animal would make an egg casing like this? This is after it's out of the ocean. In the ocean, it's not much different. They took a picture while it was down there. I mean, God knows what's down there. Watch out they find it's just plastic or something because we polluted so much. I don't know. But, we don't know what's in that ocean. It's so unexplored.
I can't wait for the update, though. Because my mind is just reeling on what that could be. But definitely, something got out.
Yeah, I picture facehuggers. Think about all the meteorites and asteroids that crash in the ocean. And they have, the essence of life built into the meteorite. I don't know. You ever seen the xenomorph in Alien? It, literally can survive anything. Those little face huggers come in the eggs, yeah. They put those things out in cold space and they survive. Anyways, that's my sci-fi imagination goes wild with that. And exactly why I wouldn't do what this next guy did. Tried to do, I should say. Article 2. Man arrested. A lot of that. While trying to run across the ocean in a hamster wheel. Should be the next article. You'll see the hamster wheel. Hopefully. Rob's having Dropbox issues. I hope you get it, because people should see this thing. Would you go across the ocean in this if you get to see the picture?
It's not there. Before.
He's done several stunts.
Yeah.
Is it just not updating your Dropbox? There it is. Okay. We've seen a lot of madcap stunts over the years. This one pretty much takes cake. This is Unexplained Mysteries. Short article. According to reports, 44-year-old, and I'm 44, and I would not do this, marathon runner, and I'm definitely not a marathon runner, Reza Baluchi, I don't know his name, had decided to make history by running across the Atlantic from Florida to London using a homemade hamster. This counts as Florida, man. Homemade hamster wheel contraption. Device or vessel was basically a cylindrical tube with paddles that made it possible for the occupant to effectively propel it across the surface of the water. Impressively given the circumstances, he managed to make it 70 miles out to sea before being stopped by the U.S. Coast Guard off Tybee Island. Strangers didn't end there, though. As Baluchi, if I'm saying that right, refused to come out, even threatened to blow himself up with a bomb, which, as it turns out, didn't actually exist. Well, I think they probably do that. This guy's going to take a bomb with him. It isn't the first time he's tried this scent. Oh, really? Back in 2021, he was arrested while trying to go from Florida to New York, having had to be rescued after drifting 30 miles from the starting point. He was also rescued on 2 other earlier occasions during a similar ocean crossing attempt. I'm no way. No way. Mm-mm. Out there in some big hamster wheel in the middle of the ocean. I mean, how do you even get your bearings? Like, you could just be going in circles in the ocean in that thing.
Get lost if you even make it that far.
Yeah, right? I think the Coast Guard has saved your life now several times, my friend. They should just be like, dude, go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it. Take your hamster wheel and you just keep going, buddy. Wow.
I like the thumbnail, though. Like he's rolling off into the sunset.
He's sitting in jail, I hope, for the bomb threat part. I mean, seriously, what was he thinking? Like, don't leave me alone. They'll just let me keep going in this thing, right? If I tell them I have a bomb.
Didn't he? I think he also threatened like some other self-harm or something too.
Yeah. Dude. I mean,
But like, why?
And then he had this weird story at I think this is UK. Yeah, Wales. It's getting close to Christmas. Mysterious Christmas gnomes prompt ominous warning from police in Wales. Authorities in Wales issued a rather ominous warning to the public following a spate of incidents when Christmas gnomes mysteriously appeared in front of various homes throughout. Oh, I got to add it to the screen.
There you go.
There you go. Throughout a village, the surprising words of caution were reportedly posted to social media by the South Flintshire branch of the North Wales Police Department on Monday morning, featuring a photo of the innocent-looking doll. They indicated that we are aware of the report of individuals in Burlington are leaving Christmas gnomes in residential front gardens. However, rather than dismissing the mysterious gnomes as merely the work of clever pranksters or bored teenagers, or police offered a far more sinister reason for what they might be appearing on residents' front lawns. The department warned that the delightful dolls may actually be a calling card used by would-be burglars. I never had problems with saying that. The miscreants, cops explained, later returned to the scene to see if the gnome is collected by the resident. An undisturbed doll, they said, is an indication that the property is likely to be empty and thus a tempting target for thieves. With that in mind, the department mused that we would advise residents to be vigilant and report any strange activity, gnome-related or not. So yeah, so you find something weird like this, and everybody finds it in their yard. It's possible that it's thieves, or was it like a publicity stunt for a movie coming out? I don't know.
No, they do this.
They do, yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Of your garages and things too.
Nowadays, though, you think them doing that? I mean, I got a Ring camera now. I'm going to get more.
They don't care what's going to happen.
Right. I mean, like how many these
anything yet?
Yeah, but like I said, like I had a guy come up and put a package by my door. I recorded that. Like I say, like somebody dropped a package and the guy picked up a package, but it wasn't my package. I didn't have no package, so I recorded that for future reference to watch if this guy is like using my address. We got cameras now all over. Sometimes I do like the cameras when I own the camera.
I had my FedEx driver came and dropped a box off and like saw that I had a camera out there and like jumped away from.
Dear God.
Yeah, really.
Just because there was a camera?
Yeah, she like jumped back and I could see her taking a picture of my package like from around the corner. She didn't want to be on the camera. It's like, wow, hiding something.
Wow. Well, welcome to the modern age,
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. I worked on camera. Candid camera all the time, lady.
Yep.
All right, well, let's move on. More now. Instead of Florida man, we got Florida bear. Likes White Claw. I have to talk about this. I know you guys probably covered this, right? Wednesday? Yeah, I knew you would, but I still have to talk about this because everybody was sending me this. 3-legged bear broke into a Florida family enclosed porch and helped itself to 3 white claws from the fridge. And he only had 1 leg, 3 legs. He was missing a leg. Like how? I mean, what an interesting bear.
Drunk crossed the road.
Yeah.
Not your average bear, boo-boo. Joseri Finiti Diglio said her 13-year-old son, Joseph Diglio, was inside their Lake Mary home when the family dog's barking alerted him to the bear outside. Security camera footage and cell phone video recorded by Joseph show that the three-legged bear, known to the neighbors as Tripod, breaking through the screen into the homes of Lonnie. He ate the fish food we had outside next to our fish tank and then proceeded to the bar. He took 3 White Claws, drank, and left very happy. His favorite flavor is mango and strawberry. Joseph said the bear opened the fridge, spurred him to lock the doors of the house in case Tripod went looking for more snacks. The family said the bear left after a few minutes and with only damage being stolen snacks and a hole in the screen. I was not scared because we know that the bear really well. He lives here. We respect their habitat as much as we can. In other places like my town, they'd put him down.
But they don't know a drunk bear. They don't know.
We know the bear very well.
Yeah, we know the bear. When I heard it went in the fridge, I'm like, well, bears will go in the fridge. They like to eat the insulation on the inside. There's something in insulation in refrigerators that they like. But no, this one, he probably did that once, and he's like, oh, I'm eating this. What's this thing? White Claw? Oh, I'm gonna try that. Now he's a White Claw addict. Yeah, he's only got 3 legs. He's down on his luck. Let the bear drink his White Claw, right?
Have his White Claw.
And then, we had Cocaine Bear. Now we're going to have White Claw Bear.
He has 4 White Claws and then decides to eat the kids one day.
Yeah.
Didn't know what I was doing.
And nobody's gonna make Stoner Bear because that bear's just gonna sit back and eat munchies.
Stoner
Actually,
Bear.
that'd be pretty funny.
4 bags of Doritos this afternoon.
Liam has an obsession bears. His life goal is to pet a bear. I'm not joking. Yeah.
Gonna pet that dog.
So now on to some UFO strangeness. This is from Washington State. I got this from UFO Daily on YouTube. A witness out of a Stroll article from Tim Binnell from Coast to Coast. A witness out of a Stroll in Washington State captured some mesmerizing footage of an odd UFO shimmering in the sky. A peculiar sighting reportedly occurred in mid-July, though only came to light this past week. According to the individual who filmed the strange scene, they were on the lake morning walk when they noticed a flashing reflective orb that would move silently up and down, left and right, as seen in their video above. The shape of the metallic-looking object is rather difficult to discern as it's shimmering in a fashion somewhat resembling an element of mercury in its liquid form. Witness went on to say that after moving around the sky, the eerily silent UFO, would then appear to stop in place, though it was always moving in general northern direction. As for what the weird object might have been, setting aside the extraterrestrial hypothesis, a prosaic explanation for the oddity might be that it is a mylar balloon. That's what's going to be my guess, too, which would explain its reflectivity as well as the manner in which it moved in the sky while seemingly drifting in a specific direction. I say when it's not drifting, it's not like propelling or taking off, and it's reflective like this. A lot of times I think they are some kind of mylar weather balloon or something, but it is odd looking. It's hard to say. The shape is so weird. I don't know if people really can give it justice here. UFOs Daily is where you can find this video. Is it playing?
Oh, it is a video. I thought it was a clip.
Yeah, it's a very short clip I have of it.
It looks like 2 balloons stuck together.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say, but I would say that'd be the most logical explanation to why it's there. What
Almost
it might
like
be.
When the strings get tied together sometimes, and then they kind of fight the breeze together.
Because I've seen a lot of similar footage to this, not exact, but like the way that it's metallic shining like that, and I've heard the mylar balloon explanation usually when it is something that's this reflective or shining like this, has like that kind of like liquid metallic look to it.
Oh yeah, because the shine does go down the whole width, like it is one something.
Dog knows what's up.
The cat's going weird, or the dog's going weird.
Yeah, this one barking's like, hey, that's no balloon.
He's got to put his opinion in.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to this next one. We were covering. I thought this is interesting. This is like mutilations in Peru, but we covered the Peruvian alien thing going on in the jungles with the villagers seeing these aliens that are floating through the forest that attacked a young girl, and the military wrote it off as gold miners. I still don't know. I'm wondering to hear more, but when I saw this about from the anomalien.com, as you say it, anomalien. About in Peru, 33 sheep were mysteriously killed at the end of August in a rural area of Peru. Someone or something very brutally massacred 33 adult sheep and lambs. The authorities blame the puma, and the locals blame the chupacabra and aliens. On the night of August 29th in the Peruvian province Chinacheros, if I'm saying that probably totally wrong, in the district, I'll butcher that too. Two farmers at one time found their sheep killed in a savage manner. Each had a deep hole in its head, and the lambs had their eyes removed. Later, it turned out that many of the sheep also had their rectums removed. The first farmer, Emilia Ruiz Santos, found 16 of her sheep lying dead on the ground outside the paddock where they had been at that night. Then another farmer, Seguindina Quespi di Pabolino, found 14 of her sheep killed in the same way. Following complaints to the authorities, members of the Okobamba police station and civil defense officers from the municipality of Okobamba, make me say that, arrived in the area. Coordination was carried out with the National Agriculture Health Services to assess the condition of the carcasses of the sheep and find out if the details of the cause of their death. The mayor, Henry Villachis Orengo, said that the incident had profound effect on the local population. He also confirmed that all the sheep had no wounds on their bodies other than holes in their heads.
I bet you I know exactly what happened. This is disgusting. It sounds like they got hit over the head with something, and then they took one of those deer rectum removers for dressing a deer to the sheep.
Why? But why?
To be a sick whatever.
Scare villagers away, just like maybe they're saying, I don't know.
Some people.
I mean, you always got to ask, what do aliens want with rectums from these animals? I mean, I don't know.
But all of a sudden it dawned on me, you can just pull a part out like that really easy.
Yeah. I mean, they say also removed their eyes. They're all killed with a hole in their head.
That's also.
I mean, it does sound like they blame the puma. Well, puma's not going to put holes in their heads and not going to wipe out whole flocks. They don't do that. I'm not an animal expert. Didn't describe about the blood. I would imagine there had been, but a lot of times there's not. If it is an alien case, there's usually no blood found. They're drained of blood. It says both their eyes and anus were removed from the animals, but they don't say if the blood was missing. They did not die to any disease.
Sounds like they took a hammer to the head or something, or a pick.
Yeah, and they keep going to cougars. I'm like, what? I don't think a cougar or an animal, that's just not their style. I'm not an expert at all, but just my feeling on it, I don't think they do. This sounds like humans or aliens.
Humans, it feels like.
But why? Why kill
I
these
hope
animals?
It's alien. I don't know.
Revenge.
Wish I would rather hope it was, to be honest.
I'd rather it be humans, not aliens. The aliens want rectum cores of animals. I don't know. They got some issues. They got a lot better technology than us. So let's hope it's not the aliens. Let's hope it's humans. We can deal with them. Maybe. All right. I saw this one. I had an article about Bigfoot hoax that went on for 50 years till the guy came out. Blah, blah, blah. Boring. And then I saw somebody post this on Facebook, and I'm like, I missed this. Of course, it was during back to school. I missed a lot. It's been a busy back to school. This was a totally back to school kind of article because this teacher from Maryland goes back to school, and she claims she was given alien invasion protocols as part of the school's safety meeting. I'm not joking. It's back to school season. This is one of the articles. There's a few. I was trying to find the right one. It's back to school season. The teachers and students everywhere are gearing up for an exciting school year, but alongside the purchase of school supplies and preparation for classrooms, teachers are having mandatory safety meetings to attend. These meetings are important ways for schools to communicate with the staff about allergies, flights, fires, natural disasters, blah, blah, blah. And outside threats to the school from anyone who may wish to teachers or students any harm. And apparently in the Maryland school district, this possibility includes extraterrestrials. She went on TikTok, made a video going off. The video was posted by teacher Ann Arndell County, Maryland, or teacher in Ann Arbor County, Maryland, who says that during their safety meeting for teachers, one of the topics was the correct procedure for dealing with alien invasions. This is her quote. Honestly, I did not process anything that was said during that part of the presentation, she claims, because I couldn't believe what I was looking at. She goes on to ask if anyone else had similar experiences during the opening activities. Of note, this Maryland County is home to the state capital of Annapolis, as well as Fort Meade, which is home not only to the National Security Agency, oh, then my article glitched out, but also home to U.S. Cyber Command, So maybe, they're, kids in this area or whatever, they feel like, yeah, the aliens might land here first. We better get them ready. But seriously, I've been waiting. I wish I just saw it. I wish I would have had this during back to school. It would be perfect. But like, this is another article that pictured, they got the kid. What are the kids doing here? I mean, duck and rear up. I mean,
that's what I'm wondering. Where are they having this child do? This is
he's not even under the desk.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Is this alien? Okay, kids, I want you to put your head down on the ground and put your butt up in the air and prepare for the alien probe.
Perfect panel coring position.
Right? I mean, when I saw this article, I didn't read this article, but I saw this picture. I'm like, what?
This is wrong in so
Is this how we're preparing for the alien invasion with the kids? I'm not totally for this game plan.
Bottoms up.
What is going on? I mean, seriously, did this really happen? Is what I want to know, and I don't have enough time to.
I just found another article because I don't have that picture, but
I saw it right before the show, getting ready for the show, and I'm like, I hated that Bigfoot story, anyways. And I'm like, I gotta talk about this. I don't know if this is real or not. I want to know, and yeah,
it says what you said, but it doesn't have the photo.
I mean, if that's real, what's going on, man?
I know this is like really not.
Dude, no, don't give him that position.
Yeah, and what is this? we got to go to commercial break. Our guest tonight is Karen Lorre. She's actress and author of Chronic Pleasure. I'm gonna blush every time I say that. I know it's a stupid, but it's I think it's something else. But it's totally about how the mind affects the body, and I am totally into this idea. And her other books are Effortless Enchantment and Chronic Pleasure in Relationships. When we come back, our guest Karen Lorre tonight, and later we'll open up the phone lines for you to call in. Ask questions of our guests, but we'll be right back after the short commercial break.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Of the second kind, physical evidence of a UFO. Close encounters of the third kind, contact. From Steven Spielberg, the director of Jaws, comes one of the most ambitious and unusual films ever made. And what you will see has never been seen before. It's a cosmic mystery crossing what many scientists believe will be the next threshold of human experience. It is called Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It begins in an Indiana town and leads to one inescapable conclusion. We are not alone. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Certificate A. Now showing at the Odeon, Leicester Square.
The international chart-topping, haunted, Horror of Haverfordwest has been described as terrifyingly real, a must-read, shocking and chilling brilliance, genuinely worrying, utterly frightening. Don't read before bed. Described as one of the spookiest writers out there, best-selling author G.L. Davies presents Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest, the true paranormal account that is shocking the world. Dare you enter? Dare you read? Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, and wherever books are sold. Pray you never have to live there.
This is the sound of a space clock aboard a U.S. satellite 180 miles above the Earth. No one winds up this timepiece. It's powered by a tiny battery, a battery that delivers power for years without replacement. Now the same type of battery, the Duracell battery, can bring new reliability and long life to your battery-operated equipment. Radios, cameras, toys, all run far longer. Duracell batteries, the long-distance power cells, outlast any ordinary battery. The same type of battery that keeps space clocks running for years can bring long life to anything powered by batteries. Dura, as in durable. Cell, as in power cell. The Duracell battery, made by Mallory.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Switch to DCS ranging.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe. 5 by 5.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Karen Lorre. Karen Lorre supports you in living true mastery, where you learn how to have your body, subconscious mind, and conscious mind all aligned with what you want so you can win in all areas of life. Karen studied mind-body science at University of California, then became an actress. Acting, it turns out, was the perfect petri dish for Karen to put that mind-body science into action. After having done over 1,000 hours of television and film, Karen discovered just how much power we have over our own psychologies and lives and put that knowledge into use, helping thousands of people transform pain into pleasure. Karen is also the international best-selling author of 3 books, Chronic Pleasure, Effortless Enchantment, and Chronic Pleasure in Relationships. Karen works has been endorsed by Deepak, Bruce Lipton, Deepak Chopra? Yeah. Bruce Lipton, Gay Hendricks, and many more. Bruce Lipton says, Karen Lorre is an antidote to the pain of today's world of personal and global chaos. Boy, do we have a lot. And Deepak Chopra said, Karen Lorre radiates to you. You can trust that Karen is the real deal. She embodies chronic pleasure and teaches you to do the same. Her Chronic Pleasure podcast and her Stories We Love podcast can be found at her YouTube channel, at Karen Lorre Videos. Her books are available also, of course, on Amazon, chronicpleasurebooks.com as well. You can definitely get it at her website there. Screw Amazon. I don't know why I said that. Our guest is Karen Lorre tonight. I can't wait to have her on. We will open up the phone lines an hour from now. You can come in, join the conversation tonight, but let's go ahead and get to our guest. All right, let's get Lorre into the platform. How you doing tonight, Karen?
I feel awesome. How are you guys?
Doing great. It's an honor to have you on the show tonight.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
And I didn't get to introduce you because you came before they got here from Soundcheck. But this is Jamie and this is Rob. My co-host will be managing the chat room there too to help us if we have any questions in the chat room later. But I want to get in tonight. How you're an actress. Was your main profession there, but you have this really interesting life, and you've taken all this education into the spirit, the mind, the body. What really started you down that path?
I've always had an interest in what is love, what is God. I didn't understand it when I was very young. So my mom is Greek, so the word love in Greek there's three different words. There's agape, which is love for everybody, philia, which is brotherly love, like Philadelphia, and then eros, like erotic, and that's sexual love. And so I was always like, what is love? Like second grade, first grade, would go to all my friends' churches and try to understand it. I never, if they said anything about love, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
But so I always had this focus, and then I was fascinated with how the mind impacts our physiology. And I used to study mind body science. I used to ditch school in high school and go either to the beach or the park and just read science. And then when I went to college, that's what I studied. I didn't finish studying there, but I loved it. I was just fascinated with it. And then throughout acting, I watched as every different character I played, I had a different life experience. I had a different physiology. And when I finally had this experience where I'd been on the spiritual path, I've been meditating for like 34 years now, and I'm friends with Deepak Chopra. I'm friends with Dr. Bruce Lipton.
That's some big names.
Yeah, I mean, like Luke. I just met them when they were just
wow.
starting, both of them. And so, just because I was so interested, and I've had so many those synchronicities and things like that. And then it just turned around. I was getting divorced actually from someone that I really love. And I had to find a way to be happy because I was so sick. I was physically sick, narcolepsy, chronic pain. My adrenals were depleted. My eyesight was bad. My hair was thinning. It was not good. And I had a spiritual awakening 15 plus years ago. And from that point on, my life has gotten easier, healthier, better. I don't have any physical problems. Everything has changed. Everything has changed. Even though yeah, go ahead.
I was to say, it sounds like you've been but even before you had that event, that you were somebody who was open or spiritual, to bring you to that point. A lot of people, they have the stressors in their life, turn to, counseling or religion or whatever, but you turn to basically what? The discovery of how your mind affects your body and going back to what you learned in school?
Well, actually, I did go to doctors. I did go to psychiatrists, but I realized that they were keeping me sick. And they were great people. It wasn't like they were trying to keep me sick. It's just that most of them didn't have a sense of how to cure themselves. They all had some sort of chronic disease. A lot of them are dead now that I went to because they were not knowing how to heal their own body. And I think there's something really important about, you can't transmit something if you don't have it, right? If you don't know how to heal yourself, how can you heal somebody else?
Right.
And so I basically fired everybody, all the doctors and psychiatrists, and I still love them.
You're fired.
I just said I can't come to you anymore. I just stopped going, basically.
Yeah.
And what happened is that after that is when I had this kind of awakening where somebody who was supposed to be dead came and helped me. And my dad, who was dead, and he wasn't dead. I mean, he was dead, but he wasn't. But he was still present,
Well, we talk about that on the show all the time. That's just part of the course here.
Yeah, I figured that you did, based on your commercials and your and the pre-show.
Well, it's my favorite. I say this as a paranormal investigator and somebody who does this show. The majority of personal stories that I get from people, and I treasure them when I get them, are a loved one coming through, not living in a haunted house or seeing a Bigfoot or having a UFO abduction, or it's this experience that's very powerful of somebody who's passed on a loved one that comes through in some strong, miraculous way to them. And I think there's some of the best evidence of the afterlife, and to me, when anybody shares that, I'm honored.
Yeah, no, there's a law in thermodynamics that says energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be transmuted. And that's what I think happens when we or sheep die or anybody else, um, that our energy might become something that you can't see as well. I can sometimes see energy, but most people
Yeah.
can't. Some people, I guess a lot of people can, but maybe
You
not
see
everyone.
aura, the colors and
Yeah, and I can see. I have a really great view. You can't see it now because it's dark, but I can see a circle of energy around the hawks or the
oh yeah, I do too.
yeah
That's
that.
yeah.
And then I've definitely seen auras. I've definitely, and then I'm more kinesthetic. I'm very in my body, and so the way that I perceive most of the spirits that come to me is through my kinesthetic experience. I'll get a rush of exhilaration, or I do sometimes have one of my friends who died a long time, like 4 years ago, not a long time ago, but she died 4 years ago. She's turned on my lights in my house in different rooms wherever her picture was,
Oh
over and
really?
over and over again, always in relationship to someone in her family. Like she wanted me to reach out without knowing why I'm reaching out to them. And then once
Yeah.
I do the lights, she would turn the lights on off and on for
Wow.
days until I realized, oh, she wants me to talk to this person. And then I talk to them, and then the lights don't go on again for until she has something else. It's
Yeah.
really interesting.
I'm interested in hearing about how
I
because
love
I think
that.
it's yeah about how your father came through to you
Yeah,
and brought you. I think I mean that's as a parent myself, like I will come back from beyond the grave if something happens to me to help my kids if I can. So I think that's awesome.
yeah, it's amazing. I am. The first person that came through was my ex boyfriend. His name was Johnny Siegel, and Johnny. I didn't realize it was him until he had written a song for me that Belinda Carlisle sang
Go
called
go's.
yeah, a long time ago.
What song?
I feel the magic, and he would sing
Oh,
just the refrain. I
he
feel the
wrote that.
Yeah, he and
Oh
Charlotte.
wow.
Yeah, they wrote it together, and he'd written it like for me. And I don't know who Charlotte wrote it for, but anyway, they wrote it together, so it was only half of
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
But every time he was saying things to me that I didn't know what was happening, I didn't understand. I was in a depression from getting divorced. I could hardly get out of bed, and my body ached, and I had no energy, and I had narcolepsy, falling asleep like 10, 15 times a day. And then he started saying things to me without me realizing it was him. And then he started singing this song, and he used it almost like, on the freeway, there's the bumps on the freeway, so you don't go into the other lane without being aware of
yeah,
it. He used this song to keep me in the lane of being happy or being peaceful or being loving or being appreciative or, in a good space. And every time I started to drift, I'd hear it in my ear. I feel the magic like I never felt before. Like
yeah.
an angel
Wow.
looking after me, and I'd be like, oh, Johnny. And he helped me a lot. And then I had been writing one night all this appreciation for like 2 hours. I was just like, I had gotten addicted to being in a state of appreciation. And that's the first time I felt my father. And when I felt him, I was getting really tired. So I went to go into the bedroom and, get into bed. And when I went into the room, the love was so profound and thick that it was unmistakable, and
Yeah.
I could literally hear music coming from the walls, and it was some really like a, a type of music I haven't heard because it had so many types of instruments, and it was just not anything I'd heard, but it was so beautiful. And then my dad, I couldn't go to sleep, but I just was like, instant sobbing, and crying because it was so profound. And then he and Johnny, both of them were the ones I recognized the first. And I remember once I said to my dad and Charlie, I was just like saying, I was kind of wondering myself. I said, Johnny, because Johnny had killed himself. I said, Johnny, why? Aren't you supposed to be like, in hell or something if you kill yourself? And he goes, no, 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 there's no hell. I go, why do they talk about hell? And my dad goes, crowd control.
Crowd control. That is what a perfect answer. I I mean, if you tell everybody, there's a movie with Robert Redford that came out a few years ago on Netflix called The Discovery, and in that he scientifically proves. And I'm still like, it's one of those movies. Like, is this a good movie or is it really bad? Like, I still years later haven't decided yet. He discovers scientifically that the afterlife is real. He's able to prove it, and so then all these people start killing themselves to go there. I hated that premise, but I can't say anything else without spoiling it. But the ending's what saved it for me. Like, I watched this whole movie hating the premise until the ending. And I'm like, well, I love that that part, But I hated the premise. Like, oh, if you prove the afterlife, everybody's just going to go out and like screw this place, and go there,
Yeah, I think it's better to live the afterlife in your human physical form.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used Johnny, my dad, and other people, Birgit, my other friend that turns the lights on and off, other people, I've used their experience. They're in this incredible, at least my experience of them, incredible joy and freedom and power and lightheartedness and wisdom. And so I basically use them as my role models. And they taught me how to be, happy and in love and relaxed and joyful and easy, no matter what's going on. Or pretty much every once in a while I have a moment, but hardly ever. Like, it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing the way I've shifted. It's night and day. My life is really different.
I'm a work in progress on that. It's weird. Like, I want to like go back to my teenage self that didn't give a crap about anything, but I don't. Like, there's a part of me, I want to have that feeling of not having fear about anything, that feeling. But then I became a parent. And like, I started having panic attacks and anxiety, and I'm my mother. I'm like the total worry wart. So what do you tell somebody like me, that's trying to, I'm trying to eat better. I'm, like I just sent Hellman's mayonnaise, and I know eating mayonnaise is not an example of eating better, but I sent them a nasty message on Twitter because they put, I saw on there, somebody posted they have on their jar bioengineered ingredients. I'm like, Hellman's, I used to love you, and I know you're bad, but you have to go and put bioengineered product in it, and I'm never going to buy your stuff again. And they took my post down. But, my comment, is their right to do that, But, it's like I'm trying to live better. I'm trying to do these things, but I know the main thing I got to work on is, like, not giving into fear or anxiety, that's what I'm working on, is, like, here, I got to get this part right,
It actually starts from your heart. But fear is creating something you won't like when it comes, which is scary. So I didn't mean to scare you, but fear. I had fear is a prison. I had a neighbor when I was growing up who sold, I think, 8 kilos of cocaine to an undercover police cop.
Ouch.
And so he was going to prison, and I was just friends. I was like in 7th grade when he was going to prison. And he was an artist. He was a really good artist, and he was in college. And I went over. He was like under house arrest or something before the trial, I guess. But he knew he was going to prison, and he was a sculptor. So I would sit and just watch him sculpt for hours. We wouldn't talk. I would just like watch. And I thought he was so fast. It was so fascinating just to watch how something revealed itself, right?
Yeah.
But when I watched him, I saw his face, and I saw the way he was holding the chisel and the hammer. And he was different, and he was so scared. His eyes were almost out of his sockets. They were so scared.
Yeah.
And when I left, I was walking home. It was just four houses from me. But as I walked, I remember I saw the crack in the sidewalk, and then I had the thought, he's in prison now. And then I had the thought, fear is my prison. And I made a decision to not have fear. I still had fear, but I tried. That's 14 years old, or 13 or whatever it was. But now I don't have any fear. And the heart has more nerves going from the heart to the brain than the brain to the heart. So the heart is actually the pilot, and the heart is the pilot of the whole body. And the heart is so genius. It's just like, first of all, it beats for you like right now, or when you're asleep, or when you're doing other things. It's taking care of you all the time. But also, I was reading this article. I don't know. I didn't read the study to see. I haven't had to
Yeah.
finish the article yet or anything. But what the article was saying is that the intelligence of the heart, there's different ways that your blood, different things in your blood, and different areas that your body needs of your blood being in a certain state. And your heart will take certain aspects of the blood and push it through the blood vessel, like make a little extra river in the middle of the blood vessel. So the other blood is around it, not going in the same river. And it will go to the place it needs. And you just think about it, when your heart is beating, the pulse, if you tune to the pulse of your heart, it's very, very mesmerizing.
I used to like do meditation in my 20s,
Uh-huh.
and I actually was a police officer for a very short period of time. I had to do a lie detector test, and let's just say there were some questions I didn't want to talk about my youthful indiscretions, and so I was like, I'm just going to get myself in the most calm, relaxed state as possible. And that's what I did. I sat there, and I was so detached from my answers that the guy doing the test kept on checking the equipment because he's like, your heart stopped or my equipment's not working right. Because I could get my heart to slow down. Like I could get myself in such a relaxed state. That was my 20-somethings not caring about nothing. I don't think I could do that now. Like,
Yeah.
I know I can. It's just, I got to get back into practice.
Yeah, get back into practice. And the other thing that you could do, so when you controlled your heart and you got into that relaxed state, what did you feel like?
Oh, I was totally calm, relaxed. Like I said, I was completely detached from the questions. Like when somebody says, well, I took a lie detector test, I'm like, possibly, there's merit to lie detector tests, but I definitely lied on mine and passed. And I didn't do anything special except to get myself relaxed enough to not care about anything I was answering to.
Mm-hmm. But what did it feel like? What was the sensation in your body? What was the emotions you felt? Can you get to that?
Well, that's the thing. The emotion was just, yeah, I'll say this, is like, it wasn't like I was unemotional. I just felt peace. All I kept doing was picturing this running thing of water in my head. Like I just kept picturing this beautiful waterfall. I just kept picturing that, and that's where I was. The guy answering the questions isn't me. Like I got myself in this whole mental switch. I was not the guy answering questions. I'm the guy watching the waterfall, and I'm having a really good time right now, and then relaxed. And that guy that just answered that question, he's totally lying, but he doesn't care.
Right.
It's like I became too split. It's like having somebody answer questions. You're there, but you're not. It's what I felt like, split.
Your inner Gemini came out.
Yeah.
But that feeling of being in peace, that feeling of being relaxed, that feeling of being detached, if you use that experience that you had with that running stream, that waterfall, and you tap into what that feels like, maybe 2, 3, 5 times a day.
Well, at the time, I was doing it a lot, and I had this like space in my mind I would go to, like try to envision myself in this like sitting on this like ledge, and there's a waterfall. Like I made up the space in my mind, and I would visualize that, and that's the space I went to. I have trouble getting back to that space, but
It's
boy,
what-
I was good at it.
If you do it first thing in the morning, and then maybe you do it at 10, and then maybe you do it at noon, and then 2, and then 5, and then
Yeah, I don't get that kind of time.
no.
But what I have done,
Can you do it for a couple minutes?
I
Or-
do. I get sometimes hour breaks at work, and I have nowhere to go. I'm not going home. I'll go out to my car where it's like dead quiet, and I'll just pull back the chair and I will put myself in that space. I try to like meditate, guide myself into a peaceful state, and get rid of all my worries from work, any of that stuff. But it's my way to recharge for the next few hours,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. If you do that, and then before you drive home, you do it, and then before you get out of the car at home, you do it. Just a few, if you do it a few times during your day, you're going to start to shift your physiology, which we have what is called a physiological set point. So right now, since you've been in this place, with the kids and getting the panic attacks and the anxiety, right now your physiology is in a higher spot. But when you do that and you drop your physiology, what'll happen is it'll go back up, but it won't go as high. And then you drop your physiology into that relaxed state, that peaceful state. And each time you do it, you're training your physiology to relax. And that's so good for your health and it's so good for your kids.
Yeah.
The more relaxed you are, the better your kids will be.
I've gotten better over the last couple of years. I've been working on it.
Awesome.
I have. I've been working on it, because I'm like, I'm not going to be this guy. I'm not going to let fear rule me because I believe I've always known fear is a prison. I'm a firm believer in fear is a prison, but it doesn't mean like you said, you still fear, you still have fear, it's just not giving into it.
Yeah, but I don't have it anymore. I don't have it anymore at all. I have shifted my physiology so much. I had it up until about 15 years ago. Now I don't get afraid.
Yeah. I worry. I can't help. I worry about the future of mankind. I'd be like, the things I would not have cared about until I had kids. I worry about their future. I worry about the immediate future of paying bills and, life and everything getting crazy and chaotic. I mean, heck, they're having alien invasion protocols at school in Maryland for teachers. What is going on? Thanks for giving me one more thing to worry about. And they literally have a picture of a kid in this article of his butt up in the air. I'm like, what is going on? I mean, we live in a crazy world now. 15 years ago, I could have probably, ignored most things going on and, but nowadays it's like, we talk about on this show all the time. I got rid of my cable news. I got rid of cable, but news, but even on all the social media, Twitter, Facebook, you're constantly bombarded with, we're doomed, fear pornography, basically.
Yeah.
It's hard to escape.
Yeah. It's there. I don't get afraid of it anymore because I literally have transformed my body. So it takes a lot, like nothing seems to be able to really get me into that. I don't get afraid anymore. It's weird because I used to be afraid. I had a friend when I was, this is like 25 years ago. I went to a party at his house, but I grew up with him. I knew him since 7th grade. And he had a massive heart attack. And when I was seeing him, he was really chilled out. I said, wow, you seem so relaxed. And he said, oh, yeah, they disconnected my adrenal glands. I said, what? They said, yeah. So he had a heart transplant and he had adrenal glands, disconnected from his heart because when you get afraid, it messes up your heart. And so I was like, I thought, wow, that'd be so cool. I didn't have my adrenal glands clipped. They're still working, but they just don't go off in the way where it's jangly anymore. It's a totally different experience. But I think my desire, I had it when I was with him, right? Like that night at the party, when I was talking to him, I thought, wow, that'd be so cool to have that night. And he said, no, it's not really. He said, then you can just do anything and you don't have any sense of being safe. You don't have any sense of making sure you're safe. And I said, yeah. But then once I got into this spiritual enlightenment where dead people come and talk to me and they guide me and I get wisdom all the time, I just feel like I have this.
When did the heaven spirits come through to you? Did that start about 15 years ago, or have you always kind of had that since your childhood, or?
I had some aspects to it as a child. My mom used to be, this is a great thing for parents to do, by the way. My mom used to, I never did it, but she put in the idea. She would say to me, okay, at 2:00 today, while you're at school and I'm home, we're going to both think of a number.
I love your mom.
Between 1 and 10, and then you tell it to me when you get home. And I say, okay. And then I never remembered because that you're in school and you're just trying to listen.
I'm just trying to get my kids to school without a fight every morning. So, hey, let's play a psychic game while you're there. I'll try it. I don't know. I'll try it tomorrow, but I don't think it's going to go over well.
Yeah. But I think that set me up. And then I remember I read a ton of things. I've had two near-death experiences as well.
Really?
Yeah. And so I think that impacts it.
You can't throw that out there. Tell us a little bit about that, because we've had a lot of guests on here about near-death, but it's a window that very few people get that shows us the possibility of what the other side is. And I think people get little, everybody. I love the movie What Dreams May Come, because everybody, I think, shapes their afterlife like that in a sense. Our expectations play into it and stuff like that. Somebody sees Jesus, some people see Buddha, some people see nothing, some people see this. But I believe everybody, a lot of people are seeing something, or so they have this experience when they come back. What happened to you?
I had sailed from California to Hawaii in a boat, not on a hamster wheel, and I'd sailed with a friend of mine or boyfriend who was a physicist. And when I got to Hawaii, I was doing a modeling job on another boat. This boat was a lot bigger than our boat. This boat was a 65-foot boat with a 55-foot mast. And
This is a boat.
what?
This is a boat.
It was a really beautiful schooner. And I was supposed to do spinnaker flying, which I had never done. It's where you take the big, there's a big, huge, beautiful sail. And the sail, it's the biggest sail you see when boats are floating, sometimes when there's a good wind. So you take the two ends of the sail, and then they put a swing on it, and you hold on and go. And I know wind. I know it was not. It was gusting about 30, 35, 40 knots, but I didn't really take it into account. I was 18, and I was just like, I'll try it. I want to go fly above the boat. So the guy goes up first, a big, huge guy who probably weighs close to 3 times my weight. And he goes up and he's bouncing around, but he comes down and he says, "That was awesome. That was so good. Just make sure you hold on." And I said, "Okay." So I get on, but I didn't have the ballast to keep the swing. So the whole sail just whipped over. Meaning, I didn't think is what I mean by ballast. The whole sail whipped over and whipped me. I saw the 55-foot mast, and I was 10, 15 feet above it, and then it whipped me onto my back onto the ocean really hard. So the air got knocked out of me, and I went down, and I was struggling, but I couldn't figure out which way is up. I was totally disoriented, and I was confused, and I was struggling, and I was scared.
And in the ocean, my worst nightmare. Like, seriously.
But then what was so amazing is something happened, and I relaxed, and I saw this beautiful golden light, and it felt very familiar. And I was moving towards it, and it felt really good. And then I heard a voice that said, "Do you want to live or die?" And I thought of my mom, and I thought, I want to live. Immediately, I still hadn't breathed. I don't know how long that was.
Right.
3, 4, 5 minutes. I still hadn't breathed. I'm coming, all of a sudden, when I said I want to live, this energy came up through my body, and I'm propelled up to the top where I didn't know where the top was. You couldn't see it because I was pretty deep. And I just went straight up to the top. And then I could see the boat was over there, and there was a guy on the ladder of the boat. And he had thrown, when he saw me, he threw a lifesaver.
Yeah.
But the waves are big. It's 40-knot wind, right? It's a big, big surf day. And I don't surf, but there were people there surfing. Anyway, he throws it, but it's not a long enough leash. So it's about 15, 20, 30 feet from me. And I'm thinking, I still haven't breathed. I can't, the air's still knocked out of me, so I can't breathe.
Oh my God.
And so I'm trying to get to it, but I don't have any energy, and the waves keep knocking me off course. And I start going back down, and the voice says, "Do you want to live or die?" And I said, "I want to live." And immediately, I don't know how it happened, but I got onto that lifesaver.
Oh, wow.
And I have no memory of how it happened. I didn't have the strength.
Right.
Still wasn't breathing. Probably didn't breathe by the time of it, by 9 or 10 or more minutes. I don't know. But fine. So then he pulled me back to the boat, to where he was on the ladder. And then he threw me over his shoulder, still not breathing, all the way up. And then they had to pump my stomach because I guess I'd swallowed water. And then they gave me mouth to mouth. And then I was able to breathe. And
wow.
So that was one. And I think my psychic stuff had been going on before that, but it increased.
Yeah, right. Which you touched the other side. What did the voice? I mean, could you describe the voice at all?
Yeah, it was a very calm, It was a simple, resonant, loving feeling. And there was no judgment. I could have chosen to die. I could have chosen to live. And it was so accepting.
No fear, right? No fear.
The voice had no fear. I had fear, but the
You
voice.
had fear?
I didn't have fear when I got into that golden light.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah, that I didn't have any fear there because it was just so amazing. It was so welcoming, so inviting, so total acceptance, total peacefulness. But I love having that now in the physical form.
Right.
Now, because I have that, I basically live in that golden light, in that peace, in that total acceptance. I live in that state now. And there's something about being able to eat food, work out, hug, kiss,
To
hold
be
hands.
alive.
Yeah, to be alive while you're in the same state that um, that is heaven or whatever. I'm not religious, but that is the state of where people who have who are non-physical can go. And when you're in that state, you're much more receptive because it's kind of like the satellite, of they have a satellite of love beaming out, and if you're on some other frequency, you won't get that frequency. But because I'm on that state of love for 99.9% of the time, the the wisdom or the intuition or the guidance is all throughout my day. It's
Because you're more in that higher frequency
yeah. I mean, I'm just
where they
yeah,
can reach you.
yeah. So it's
I mean,
relaxed. You get in everything.
I've had a lot of mediums on this show, and I've read a lot of books about mediumship and people that speak to the other side. Is that a lot of them have some kind of routine. A lot of times they go through when they're going to do an event or whatever. They have it constantly, but when they really want to like supercharge the batteries, they take themselves through guided meditation. They know to get that contact, they have to make sure their energy is at that high vibrational state. You know.
Yeah.
And I think that's why sometimes psychics don't get it right. Sometimes maybe their energy's down, or they're not connecting because they're human beings,
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't have. I think because, like I said, I'm very kinesthetic, meaning I'm in my body, and
Yeah.
I'm really aware of what I feel emotionally and what I feel physically. So if I'm holding any tension, I can feel it right away and I let it go.
Right.
If I start to have the slightest dip, like if this is my heart being open, and I start to get that pinky moving, that's enough for me to note it, and I change it because I have a constant reflection. I have interoception. Interoception is being aware of your interior.
Yeah.
And it's perception of your interior. And so it's perception of the sensations you have and the emotions you have. And a lot of people will walk around with their heart shut, which I have done. Before 15 years ago, I certainly did that. And I don't recommend it because it's painful. But they can walk around with their heart shut. And then what happens is the brain, when your heart is shut or when your heart is almost shut, your brain can't get the wisdom. It can't get the ideas. You can't find your car keys. You can't find your purse. You can't find your kid, whatever it is, right? You just can't.
You can't find your kid.
You can't think
Yeah.
straight, right? It's
Yeah.
just down the prefrontal cortex. So you're not thinking straight. It activates the back of your brain, which is your primitive brain, your reptilian brain, if you will. And that part of the brain is the fight or flight part of the brain. And so it's really key to be able to be as calm as you can to hear the wisdom.
No, I get that. I've had my experiences. I like when I was 18. I know I've talked about the show, but I had what people call a shadow person experience. Some people would say it's demonic. I don't know, but me and two other friends stirred something up that followed us home and messed with us for months. And for me personally, it was attacking me at night. And then one night it really came at me and levitated me up off my bed physically. I was awake, paralyzed, and it levitated me up to my ceiling. It did it once, and then it did it again. I can't move. At about the third time it lifted me up, I was just in my head. I couldn't speak, but in my head, I was saying, "God, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, God. Help me, God." and there was a bright light. This thing screeched. I saw somebody that I think is a relative of mine came through, looked at me, kind of gave me this kind of like stern look, like, don't do that again. Don't mess up like this again. And left. But in that moment when I called out to God and I felt this thing go away, that light that came in that room, that was really all the visual stuff happening. I could see, it's like I could see everything with my mind's eye. I could see everything happening in the room, myself floating there. I was out of my body, and I could feel this presence that was overwhelming, unconditional love, and it had no judgment. There was, and it's like, I'm always here. Why were you worrying? I'm always here. I'm always going to be here. Whatever that is. I like to call it the force. I grew up in a household that, my mom's a Buddhist and my dad is, very scientific, quantum physics, but believes in some quantum physics explanation that could explain a lot of this stuff, but believes in the idea of, a lot of things, I wouldn't say he's an atheist. That's what I'd say. He leaves that open as a possibility. But I grew up in a very open household. No religion, or saying anything. And I was always opposed to organized religion or even the idea of God at that time. But I felt I was saved. Now, I didn't become some like Christian. I've been saved, like that. I believe in a higher power. I believe in the force. And it started me on a journey of becoming much more spiritual. And that's when I started doing a lot more meditation and getting into stuff and a lot more psychic experiences. I've had them since I was my earliest memories. But that experience, I didn't have a near-death experience. To me, but when people describe like you just did, their near-death experience and that feeling like you had in the Golden Light, is that feeling I had when I was saved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that energy, it's always loving. It's so unconditional. It's always accepting. And it's
like, I want to go back to that feeling. Yeah.
That's what you can do. I do that. You don't have to die to do that.
Right. I don't want to do that.
You have to have a demon possess you.
No, I don't want that again either. I just want to have that feeling because it was great. Yeah. It was great. Yeah. There's no, like all my worries washed away.
Exactly.
All my insecurities at that moment, everything that I regret, even at the young age of 18 that I regretted, was gone.
Yeah. 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 That's how I live. There's no concern.
The only other time I felt that powerful of that force is when I was right before I was getting ready to move out of my parents' home, and it was the middle of the day, and I don't know why it happened then or there. Maybe it's because I was getting ready to move out and start my life with my wife. I saw this 8 or 9, maybe 10-year-old boy, translucent, walk through my parents' living room. They're not haunted house, okay? And I knew that, and I wasn't scared, and I felt that force again, that feeling. And he smiled at me and just faded away. Many years later, my wife is giving birth to our second child. Because I remember the first one, when Dean was born, I'm like, that's not the kid I saw. I know it isn't, but that's all right. I don't know what I saw that day. Well, she ended up getting pregnant again. And the second son that was born, when he came out and they put her up to her head, he smiled at me. I knew right then when he was born, that is the boy I saw. He's 7 now. That's the only other time I felt that same exact feeling, that force. I mean, like, I should be scared. There's a translucent ghost boy in my parents' living room. I'm wide awake. I'm not on drugs. And this thing, this kid is smiling at me, but I was never at all scared. Like, that feeling came in. It's what made me look up and see him.
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
Like I said, I call it the force. That's just my explanation for it. Since I put on the census that I believe in Jediism. I guess that's my explanation for it. But yeah, I mean, there's so much, that feeling. If you could attain that, like you're saying you are, I mean, sign me up, because that feeling was incredible.
Yeah, it is. It's the best feeling in the world. There's nothing, I can't imagine not living like this now. I mean, it's been so steady and so consistent, and it is that feeling of like nothing's a problem, just totally relaxed, totally accepted, totally accepting, loving everyone, and then having a knowing, feeling totally guided. It just is.
Trust the force, Luke. That's what I believe. Yeah, like I get in touch with that.
What'd you say?
Having that faith that everything's going to be taken care of and going to be okay.
I feel like it is okay. It is being.
She is. She speaks in the now and the positive, right?
Yeah,
It's that
yeah,
thinking.
it's not that it's going to be okay, because that's
Yeah.
saying
But
it's
me and Jamie, the worry words over here, but we speak in that way. Obviously, that's our problem because I do the same thing Jamie does. Yeah.
yeah,
And I get
yeah,
reminded by spiritual, wise people like you. No, it's now.
right here, right now. This is, I mean, in this moment, you can think of your past, or you can think of your future, or you can be present. But as long as you feel good, then this moment is serving you.
Because this is only it for this moment right now, and it's gone. In this moment, it's gone.
Exactly.
My mom's a Buddhist, and I got it heavily into Buddhism. Not that I'm a Buddhist, but I really got interested in it and had a number of books on meditation and the idea of who am I and all that. That's been a journey for me. Is just learning I am not this person, this facade, this ego. I think the biggest eye opener to that. I don't know where you feel on this, but is I had two very vivid dreams of past lives. I was completely different people, but I was those people. And it opened my eyes that I am more than just this facade of Jason and all my past history and what I like and dislike, that there's something deep down beyond that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when I was I don't know if I was 3 or 4 or something like that. My mom and dad had a big, one wall was mirrors, and that was the wall that was the same as the hallway from my bedroom that would go to there. So
So it was one of those hallway mirrors?
no, it
Like,
was in their
no.
bedroom. It was in their bedroom, but the
Oh,
hallway,
okay.
I didn't have to turn to get to the mirrors. I just could
Oh,
run
okay.
straight. And so I would run as fast as I could to get to the mirror, and then I would get so disappointed because I was trying to see who I really was. I knew I wasn't this tiny, tiny little towhead. I knew that there was something different, something much bigger. And I kept going back. My mom's in the room, and she's like, "Honey, what are you doing?" This is like the 5th time I'm running to it, trying to catch myself before my body takes shape, like to see who I really am before I see what I am.
Like you
Right?
felt like somebody else, like you're Sam Beckett in Quantum Leap, like the guy in the women's dress, and he looks in the mirror and he's like, "Oh, I'm this chick." Quantum
Yeah,
Leap fan. Sorry, I'm a geek.
that's okay. I love it. But my mom was like, what are you doing?" And I said, "I'm trying to catch who I really am." And she said, "You're my little girl." I said, "No, I'm not. I'm big. I'm big." 'Cause I knew
Wow.
I was so big,
Yeah.
not I was still in a tiny body, but I knew I was so big. And we all are. We all are infinite, eternal.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, as a kid, I always had a sense that we lived other lives, and like it was ingrained somewhere deep in me that I believed in it already. But having those dreams and like having that really vivid experience of both, that convinced me. And like I said, it's eye open. I wish other people could have that experience or that understanding, because it would make them think a little bit more about who they really are more than this, more than the facade, more than the name or the identity that you make for yourself. It opened me up to like how my friends were. My friends would make me into a persona or a character. I would notice like that I would act in the way that they perceived me, but I'm not that person, and I had to
Right.
break away from that.
That's brilliant. Yeah. And it's interesting because a lot of people will say, "Oh, that person is da 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 da," some negative thing, right? And when somebody believes that, it's impossible for that person they're talking about to be other than that in their experience. Even if the person,
Right.
they can't even see it if they believe it to be something else. They won't even be able to perceive the person as something differently because they have such a belief about whatever it is that they're saying. So you want to be really, if you're gonna like do that, you want to think like about your kids, that they're smart, that they're safe, that they are capable, that they know what to do, that they're always going to be safe, they're always going to be loved, right? You think of things that you want, and then they show it to you.
I got to treat them like that. Yeah, not be the worry word dad that like covers them.
Right, because when you're trying to protect, when you're trying to defend, when you're trying to, you know, just ensure stuff, you actually are creating what you don't want. You have to go the opposite direction. It's like the best way to take care of somebody is to love them and just let them be who they want to be. You hold their hand if they're young crossing the street, or
Yeah.
you know,
No, just go run out there, kid. You'll be fine.
yeah. No, it's not that. It's not that. But you can hold their hand without being afraid.
Right.
You know.
Right. It's not giving into the fear.
Yeah, or it's just letting the fear completely be washed away by that unconditional love.
Well,
That you
what I do is my wife takes them to the beach and that without me. Why? Because I want them to have a good time, and I'm not going to have a good time because I can't watch. Like I have like a tremendous fear of big bodies of water, and that's probably a past life thing. Yeah. And I can't I can do the pool. You know, we have a pool and we go swimming. You know, but like going out to the beach and then going to big water. I compare it to the scene in Jaws. You know where he's like, get out of the water. That's gonna be me on Lake Michigan. You know, like.
love it.
But so my wife knows. She takes him there. You know, like my 7-year-old's new request for Christmas is a kayak. I'm like, oh yeah. When I was younger, see, like before kids, I didn't have I have always had a fear of water, but I did enjoy kayaking because it was small water. You know, like it's not very deep. You go down these rivers or trails. You know, good. You know, but now he wants to kayak on his own. I'm like, oh, I gotta go with you, right? I'm not afraid about me being the kayak. I'm afraid about watching with him and something that floats and he could drown. I'm like, that's the kind of worry work crap I have to like deal with in myself that I'm trying to handle. I need to get to that like, no worries, they're fine. Let go. That's the hard part. And I did not have this issue until I was a parent. It really changed. It changed everything. My personality and everything. Like, didn't have a panic attack until I had a kid. So that's why I think it's important, to like. I also believe too. One of the things we might get into when we come back from commercial break is you talk about the mind affects the body, but I also think the body affects the mind. And like me and my wife have been on this kick. We're growing our own vegetables, and like we're trying to get rid of all the stuff that has genetic modified, bioengineered or crap or chemicals in our food. We're trying to get more and more of it out of our house. Because I do think, I don't know how you feel about this, is that, it's hard to have a clear mind when you are dealing with chronic diseases or stuff caused by the crap you're putting in your body.
Yeah, that's a point, and most people will go with that. But for me, I've had to separate my emotions and my heart, mind from my physiology in order to heal. Like if I was just looking at what my body was doing, I was staying sick.
Right.
So when I changed it and I went into imagination, I went into appreciation, I went into peace, meditation, whatever I did, I had to separate so that my body, I knew, because all I studied. So when I was studying, I studied, how the mind affects the body. It's called psychobiology or psychophysiology. That's what they called it then. Now it's called psychoimmunology. Anyway, that's what I studied. And so when I was acting, for example, I was on that soap opera, and I played pregnant. I was pregnant on the show, so I wore a leotard with a pillow.
Yeah.
And I would, it was New York and it was wintertime, and you didn't want to go undress you only have an hour for lunch, undress,
right,
and then get your. So I just would go out to lunch with the pillow, and people would say, "Oh my God, you're pregnant!" And I said, "No, I'm just an actor," and they'd get all mad. So then I said, they said, "Oh, you're pregnant," and then I'd say, not say anything, and they say, "Boy or girl?" I
only have an hour break. I don't have time to explain this to you people.
Right, and they say, "Are you boy or girl?" I say, "Hasn't been written yet." So they thought it was like some spiritual thing, but it was actually the writers had told me if I was having a boy or girl. But anyway, but what was funny is after about 4 months, because I wore this thing for 6 months, after about 4 months, the wardrobe girl came into my dressing room and she brought the dress and the bra that I would wear for the next scene. And I'd worn that bra many times, and we went to put it on, and it fit around my back, but I overflowed. And she said, "Oh my God, your breasts have grown another size." And I was like, oh my God. And so she went to go get a bigger bra.
Wow.
And I sat in the dressing room saying, this is my mind-body connection. I believe my body is believing that I'm playing pregnant. My body's believing it. This is amazing. And I like had a, this amazing moment of, wow, we have so much power.
Oh yeah, I mean, you hear stories of women who think they're pregnant and like have all the signs, but they weren't never pregnant.
That's what happened to that girl Birgit, the one who died. Before that, she thought she was pregnant, and she got a pregnant belly, and her breast grew, and she started having
Yeah,
uh, lactation, and then she went to the doctor, and he said, "You're not pregnant." She got really depressed, but she didn't have a
Some,
miscarriage or anything. It was just her mind believing it, and that's how powerful we are. She literally changed her whole physiology in that time period. She just didn't know how to keep it, how to keep it in her mind.
yeah,
But yeah, you can change your physiology, but if you let your physiology have power over how you feel, then you lose your power. I had a boo boo. I accidentally severed three tendons in the back of my hand.
ow,
I know it was a moment in the middle of the night during a concussion. Could have been a near death experience, but I don't remember. Anyway,
oh,
but all I know is I woke up really late, like at noon, and and there's blood all over, and I was like, "Oh, what is that?" And I didn't even feel anything. And, I
oh
was like, "Huh."
man,
And then I see in the bathroom that everything had been tipped over. It's like I had probably grabbed the thing, and then it hit
yeah,
and something like that. And then, but I didn't have any pain, and I was getting ready to go bike riding. And I thought, oh, I need a butterfly bandage. So my neighbor just came by for something else, and I said, "Do you have any butterfly bandages?" And he goes, "Why?" And I said, "Oh, I think I got a little cut." He goes, "That's not a little cut. You're going to need surgery." I was like, "No, I don't. It didn't even hurt." And he goes, "No, you have to go to the ER right now. You're going to need at least 10 stitches." And he was right. And
yeah,
I had no pain. And during the surgery, I didn't have anesthesia. And I mean, I had local, but I didn't have any under, really 99, 90. I didn't have that
yeah,
one.
yeah,
And he made jokes through the whole time. Then I had a great time during the hand therapy when I went to that. The 2 days after I had the surgery, I went and I was having a great time. I never had pain. I was just having a great time. That's why I wrote that book, because I was like, wow, this is something weird to have, all these tendons severed and not have pain. Some,
yeah.
Something's going on. And the hand therapist people, I went there to get a splint 2 days after the surgery, and they said, "Wait, when did you have the surgery?" I said, "Wednesday." This was Friday. And they
Yeah.
said, "Oh my God." I said, "What?" They said, "You're healing like a 3-year-old, which is like really fast."
Wow.
And this is
Well, we
5.
can talk more about how you can get to that, turn pleasure into pain. We got to go to commercial break.
Go for
And
it.
then we're also going to open up the phone lines for the audience. So, guys, we'll be right back after the short commercial break with our guest, Karen Lorre. She's the author of Chronic Pleasure, Effortless Enchantment, and Chronic Pleasure in Relationships. We'll talk more about that when we come back from the short commercial break.
He is conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Do you wish for more paranormal and spiritual content? The Paranormal Chronicles magazine is a free digital magazine crammed with the very best in paranormal and spiritual articles and features. No sign up, no subscription, just free reading and knowledge for you. Read today at www.theparanormalchronicles.com/magazine.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Paranation Magazine is a new paranormal magazine based out of Denver, Colorado. Our goal isn't just to give you the best paranormal content out there, but to promote paranormal unity. We're doing this by giving everyone an opportunity to tell their stories and to share their experiences. For more information, follow us on Facebook at Paranation Magazine and soon, paranationmag.com.
I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is the extraordinary travels of a young, alone, and broke psychic in the highly anticipated new book from internationally renowned psychic, medium, medical intuitive, and best-selling author Sherry Dillard. Critics have described I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like as an engrossing memoir, an empowering story of how a broken girl came to accept her psychic gift, a refreshing and fun read. I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is available through Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold.
Wrote Spirits of the Dead with a pen dipped in warm blood. You will see the ultimate in terror with this important all-star cast. Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda in Edgar Allan Poe's Spirits of the Dead. Only Poe's demented genius could bring to the screen such horror and evil. Spirits of the Dead stars Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda. Directed by three masters of the cinema, Federico Fellini, Louis Malle, and Roger Vadim. Spirits of the Dead is an adventure in terror beyond your wildest nightmares. Spirits of the Dead in color is rated R.
The answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is "42." Yes, I thought it over quite thoroughly. It is, it's 42. It would have been simpler, of course, to have known what the actual question was.
But it was the question. The ultimate question. Of everything.
That's not a question. Only when you know the question will you know what the answer means.
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID 00JBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest is Karen Lorre. She's an actress and author. She's the author of Chronic Pleasure, Effortless Enchantment, and Chronic Pleasure in Relationships. We're talking about how the body, or how the mind affects the body. And she's a very spiritual person. I want to get into these topics with her, especially on how we can help improve and get to that state that of no fear and compassion and just, she's talking about healing quickly, how this, if your mind totally does affect your body. How many times, how many guests that we've talked on the subject comes up. And, I believe we can all be like Jedis, right? I believe in the Force. I believe that we can harness the power of spirit and mind and heal ourselves and, seek doctor's advice, of course. But there's a lot of power to the mind tonight. And if you've had that experience, join the show tonight. Call in. Tell us about your experience of how your mind affected your body. Or maybe ask a question of our guest, Karen Lorre, tonight on how you can help change your mind state to better affect your health and your well-being. Again, check out our books, Chronic Pleasure, Effortless Enchantment, Chronic Pleasures and Relationships. And we'll get that website out here. Again, I don't have my notes up on that, but we'll make sure you guys have that website tonight. But let's go ahead and get back to our guest. Thanks for hanging in there with us, Karen. What's the website again where people can get your books?
chronicpleasurebook.com.
Writing that down because I forgot to put that in my notes.
Quite all right.
Chronic Pleasure.
Book.com. Yep.
Gotcha.
That's
all
where
right.
you can get them for free. If you want the Audible book, it's on Amazon and Audible. And if you want the physical books, if you like a physical book.
I am one of those people that likes a physical book. I used to have a book addiction. So way too much money on it. Yeah.
Too much money
Now
in space and too many trees.
Yeah. I have a wish list. I only get so many books a year now. It's a real problem. But I also don't get the time. I used to read like 4 or 5 books a week, and now with kids, I'm lucky to get through a book a month. And sometimes I'm trying to like rush through books. I should say I do about 4 or 5 books a month. I shouldn't say that, but the books I really want to get to read takes me about a month because I'm also trying to like read other guest books coming on the show, or at least get through some parts of their books before I do the show. But yeah, I'd like to have a hard copy, at least one of the books. The Chronic Pleasure book. Is that your first one?
Yeah, that's the first one, and that's the one I wrote in response to how easy it was to have 3 tendons severed and have no problem, no pain, laughing. No pain, laughing, having a great time the whole time.
It's incredible what the mind can do because in situations of survival, people like my dad, he had gotten into a wreck in his work van with his partner, one of his work buddies, had gotten in a wreck. It flipped the van, and like he had, what did he do? He broke something in his leg, fractured something. He should be in incredible pain, not be able to stand on it. I can't remember what he did. I should remember. And he couldn't even, he shouldn't be able to stand on it, but he got out, pulled the guy out of the van, and didn't even realize, because the mind says you have to get him out, you have to survive. It shut, so he's walking on something that should be causing him complete, utter pain.
Yeah.
So if it can do that then, why can't it do it at any other time?
Exactly. Well, it can. It's just a matter of tapping into it.
Yeah. It's like also, how I respond to a lie detector test is trying to react. The whole point of the lie detector test is test your skin, your heartbeat, your breathing, and put all these elements together to kind of find out if you have stressors and what you're saying. If you detach yourself from it, you don't care about what you're saying, then what's it going to read?
Right.
I think some people can, convince themselves of things too, create their own reality, and that could be positive or negative. The mind is a very powerful tool. But I also saw a lot of, like, during the COVID era, and here we go, YouTube, yes, prepare to demonetize, right? But during the COVID era, with the lockdowns and mask mandates and everything, I don't know you, but it had an energy, a very oppressive energy. It was the fear, but it was also like, this is the, beginning of something, not just about the lockdowns or mass states, but a change in the perception and how we live together, like I would say, with the government. Like, we easily gave up freedoms. People gave into fear. And that was like the worst part that I saw. So many people gave into the fear. And then stop and go, what's going on? How did we get, why are we here? How did we get here? Is that the science? No, everybody went right away with the fear. And I'm not blaming people for that. I think it's human nature. But it scares me. I know, don't live in fear, right? Don't worry. But that it created an energy I think we're like still trying to get out of as a society.
Mm.
I think it did good things too. It also got a lot of people to stop because they couldn't go out in public, whatever, and maybe do some inner reflection and go to get a new career. Some friends of mine wrote books. I didn't. I should have. So it did some things good and did some things bad, such as life. But I still feel like we're in this struggle of awakening. and maybe that's part of the good part. But I feel like there's some people that aren't. They're ready to go right back into the fear porn.
Yeah. When we're in fear, like we said in the other hour, fear shuts down your prefrontal cortex. It takes the energy out of your lungs, out of your heart. I mean, not entirely, and out of your digestive system, but mostly, and it shunts all the energy to your legs and your arms for fight and flight, right?
You're right.
And it also lowers your immune system. When you're in fear, your immune system is not as capable because you're lowering it, there's so many things. When you're in a state of love, one of the studies I read was that it increases your immunoglobulin, which is part of your immune system, and it increases it when you're in a state of love. And so, you know, I don't ever get into fear, and I didn't get into fear when they were telling us to get afraid. I just don't buy into fear, and I can tell when somebody's trying to make me afraid. In fact, today somebody sent me some video today, and the video was trying to make me uh, think something bad about somebody, and I
Right.
watched the video, and I was like, uh, it's got an agenda, and the
Oh, yeah.
agenda I can feel, and so I just don't have any. It's not relevant to me.
See, that's why I didn't have the fear about it. We started talking about coronavirus early on in the show, and my fear is, I put a fear, I admitted my fear that we are creating biological weapons. I said that back then. This is the very beginning of coronavirus, that we could be dealing with a biological weapon, because I had an idea about crap like that going on. But when the government started coming out with the lockdowns, mandates, other medical advice, I'm the one right away is like, nope, I don't trust you. Like I have a innate distrust of government power. So I guess and almost like you tell me to do it, I'm not going to do it kind of personality. It's like saying, "Oh, I'm forced to." Okay, screw you. I'm not doing it. Like I have that kind of rebellious side of it. So it wasn't any kind of no fear. It's more like, screw you, buddy. I know how this game works. You're up to something. Yeah, you. Yeah, I know what you're up to. Big Pharma and, Fauci and all those people. I'm sorry. There I go. Bill Gates has heard me over YouTube. He's going to shut this down now. But we got Zach on the phone line. He'll help shut it down, too. How you doing tonight, Zach?
I'm doing pretty good, brother. How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for calling in.
Okay, just have two questions. I'll keep them as short as possible. Hey, Karen, it's very nice to meet you, ma'am. My first question goes really to just for many people that have come up to you or have sought guidance from you to use the law of attraction to be able to relieve a lot of this chronic fatigue. Have you noticed that many of them, like, I just like to know some of the characteristics is like some of the folks that do come up to you, like, do they live like a sedentary lifestyle? Do they have unhealthy habits? Maybe they take certain medications that cause this fatigue, or maybe there's past trauma in that. What are some of the characteristics that you have noticed in many of the individuals that have sought guidance from your books and from you? And just really like, what was like the average time span that, someone would notice a difference once they had used the law of attraction to remove a lot of this chronic fatigue?
Yeah, thank you. So it's interesting because there are some people who are very, very healthy or think they're very healthy, and yet they have emotional stuff. And then there's people who have physical stuff. So I've had a whole slew, men, women, different ethnicities, different cultures, different people in different parts of the world. And it's basically the characteristics that I really see is somebody who is really not liking what they have, but really knowing that something's possible and wanting it, being willing to get it. And that is something, that willingness and that openness. And then how long people will usually see effects in the first or second week, but I tend to work with people longer because part of what I like to do is to get their subconscious trained to do the work for them. Meaning, Like I wake up, I'm just happy. I don't have to do the work anymore. I still do work because I like to meditate and I like to write, but I want the subconscious of my clients, if they want it, I want their subconscious to be so in alignment with what they want that they just wake up without effort happy. It takes some effort to get to there. And that's why I work with people for a little bit longer time, but they'll start to see results right away, usually.
Okay. And my second question really just it goes in conjunction over with acting, just based on what I've been hearing from you so far. Just either in your own past experience or maybe your own observation working in the entertainment industry, do you find that many method actors use the same kind of techniques like the law of attraction whenever they're trying to be able to step into a character and be able to see the world really from the character's perspective and be able to, embody that character which they're playing either on screen or either on film or, on stage?
Yes, in fact, acting helped me a lot in healing my own body because I had been, experiencing different physiologies and different world experiences pretty much with every character I played. And so there are so many things that you can do. Like there are so many practices as an actor that you do to embody a part. And when you use those to embody somebody who is happy or somebody who's healthy or somebody who is some other thing, it becomes really fun. And it's so fun to help people that are not actors to learn how to literally change their physiology in one session. I mean, it might not stay changed, they have to do it consistently, but they learn and they start to learn how to have dominion over their physiology. And I do use acting techniques because it is really powerful. Good questions. Really good questions. Thank you.
Zach always does.
Nice.
Well, thank you, Zach.
Yeah, those were all. Well, thank you guys so much for allowing me to call in, and thank you very much, Karen, for answering my questions. I greatly appreciate it. Have a good night, everybody, and I will see you all next week.
All right, good night, Zach. See you next week.
Ciao. Thank you.
I've always wondered about the whole method acting. You see some of these actors take some really dark parts, and how bad that might affect them. I mean,
sure.
Not talking about like the stuff like Christian Bale does, where he like starves himself or fattens himself, or like, God, I can't imagine the physical toll his body's taken, but like the mental. It was like that one young actor recently that did Dahmer. He said after that, he's like, I'm done doing dark parts for a long time. Like, I don't want to do any more for a long time. Like, it affected him.
I actually, part of the reason I started to go away from acting, even though I love acting now, but at the time, 15 years ago, I had this narcolepsy, so I'd fallen asleep.
Yeah.
At an audition on camera.
Oh no.
Sleep on camera in a movie. So I was like, oh, I'm not ready to go back to acting, and I didn't want to keep playing parts where I would get, oh, her husband left her, or her husband died, or her children are angry, or she's a bitch, or whatever it was.
Well, right? your name's Karen. They're like, oh, what are we going to cast you as? I'm sorry.
No, but
what role?
But it was so funny because I had to learn how to be able to act without how to be able to act darkness without going into the dark and being able to express it. And it's been really fun. It's now happens really much more intuitively. It's like there's some inner director within me that has come forth and has literally gives me the direction of what to do. And so I'm really excited to be acting more because now I have a whole different understanding of it, and I won't have to let my physiology go tanked or my emotions go tanked by playing a character that is tanked.
Oh, I have to say, it's totally a movie. It will never be made again like that. But Tropic Thunder, I don't know if you've ever seen that. I love it. Oh, they kind of make fun of all the different styles of acting, I think, in that movie. And the method actor, of course, is Robert Downey Jr. I won't get into that because that'll offend too many people, or YouTube or Facebook, God knows. I have a question from the chat room here. It's actually my cousin here, Gary. One question I would have: when I was younger, I would see auras around people and sense and see spiritual apparitions around everywhere. It went away as I got older. It just vanished like a wall. Every medium I've ran into, they would ask about this sense. I can't explain why it vanished, only that I can't explain why the hell it disappeared. Sometimes it comes back if I do a ghost investigation. So how does he get that back? That's what he's asking, I think.
Right. A lot of times what happens is when we when we are kids, we're naturally happy. You know, we're playing outside, we're running on the grass, we're swinging on the swings, you know, we're doing things that are fun, right?
Yeah.
And then you become an adult and you have to be responsible. And if you think of your responsibility, instead of your responsibility being, you know, I've got to pay for this, I've got to buy this, I've got to do this. If you make your responsibility really just to be happy, and then do the other stuff, you still do the other stuff because that does make you happy to be, you know, like it makes me happy to be organized. So I like to do that, right? It makes me happy to be healthy. I like to work out, right? So you'll still do the stuff, but there's but the more you can find things that give you pleasure, and it doesn't have to be like you said. You were blushing every time you said chronic pleasure. Chronic pleasure. It's not about there.
It just sounds like, I'm sorry. It's it sounds like I'm not talking about a porno. I'm talking about a really great book. It's called Chronic Pleasure. You know that. I'm sorry. That's every time I say it, I'm a little 10-year-old boy being stupid. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's really cute. The whole reason I had it is because I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue before they knew I had narcolepsy.
Yeah.
And I also had chronic pain, and so then.
So my wife suffers from a lot of this. So I want her to watch this up, hear you, and maybe get the book for her.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah, the Audible book would probably be best because I narrate it, and so you can feel it easier. But anyway, but what I was going to say for your cousin, do the things that light you up, and it could be, you know, riding your bike. It could be doing some art. It could be playing with your dog. You know, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be like, I'm going to build a mural on the top of the Empire State Building. You know, it doesn't have to be something big.
I'm gonna take a hamster wheel across the ocean.
Right, right. It could just be, you know, buying some flowers for your partner, or I don't know if you're married or not, but just, you know, it could be making a nice meal or eating a nice meal. It could be smelling some beautiful flowers. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but the more that you connect one pleasure to another pleasure to another pleasure, it starts to create this capacity for we have what are called hedonistic hotspots in our brain. And the hedonistic hotspots, they will grow. And if this is your pain center, and let's say your tips of your fingers and thumbs are your hedonistic spots, if you keep focusing on things that give you pleasure, hedonistic pleasure, meaning, you know, smelling some lavender or roses or petting the cat or whatever it is, your pleasure centers start to gain, and then they overtake the pain center, and then that will help you be back in that same attitude that you had when you were a kid. If you can think of that attitude that you had when you were a kid, where you were seeing words around people and all that stuff, you know, it might be that you were like, just, you know, it was just curious, you were interested, it was fun, it was exciting, it was new, it was wow. It was,
like you said, he only has it really when he goes on paranormal investigations, which I took him on a few way back in the day. And what is he doing? He's having fun doing
right,
it.
right. And so the more you're doing stuff that's fun is so fun, and it's so key. It really is so key for everything that that you want to come in. So the more you do things that are fun is also pleasure, right? Fun, appreciation, laughter. You can have the emotional pleasure of a good conversation, the emotional pleasure of thinking of the things that you like or writing down the things you like. So there's so many things you do, but when you get into that frequency, then just if you can bring in that same childhood expectation, that same eagerness, there's probably some time as you started going older where somebody dissed you about that. And if you can let that go, and then just focus on what did it feel like when I was a kid when I saw it. Was it exciting? Was it curious? Was it interesting? Was it fun? Was it new? What was it like for you? What did you actually feel? And that, just by tapping into that feeling, you're going to start to access that feeling more and more. And then if you expect that you can see those things around people or around situations, you'll be able to see them more and more and more. And it literally has to do with cultivating that energy of this childlike wonder, that same kind of fascination that you had as a kid, that same kind of curiosity and fun and interest and playfulness and excitement and discovery. That is so healing, but it will also bring you, and I might not be saying the exact same things that you felt, but you get to what you actually felt when you were a kid, and you'll see how much power you have. Like, for example, one of the first times I remember, I was I was in studying with my neighbors in college, and I jumped up and I said, I have to go. And they said, where are you going? I said, I have to go call my friend Teresa. They said, you can call from here. I said, no, I have to call from my place. And I ran next door to my place in the dark, and I dialed her number on the actual phone before it was a cell phone. And I dialed her number, and she said, hello. I said, Teresa, what happened? She said, my mom and dad were in a plane crash. My dad just died. My dad was
Oh
killed.
my God.
And I said, I'll come over this weekend. And she said, okay. And we talked to you. And then I came over, we're sitting in her bedroom, and she's still at her mom's house. And her mom is in her bedroom. And it's just a couple days later. And all of a sudden I said, do you smell that? And she goes, what? I said, chrysanthemums. No, carnations. Carnations. And she said, that's my dad's favorite flower. I said, carnations? She said, yeah. I said, would you smell it? She goes, yeah, it's really strong. I go, let's go see your mom. We run down the hall, and we went into mom's room, and her mom was in the room. She's crying, and she said, he's here. And the smell in her room of the carnations was so strong.
Oh, wow.
So what that felt like to me, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was attuned. I was interested. I was curious. I was fascinated. I was excited. I was wondering about things. I was trying to understand it. I felt like, wow. And then when I saw the mother, I felt confirmed. It felt like,
Yeah.
of course he's here. It felt so obvious. It felt so clear, right? So you take a situation, and then you take the essence. I just told you the situation so you could get a sense.
Yeah.
If I just said the essence, it's part of the state. You take the essence of the qualities that you felt, or the sensations. Like I had more energy in my body. I had more, like it was an investigation. It was exciting. And it felt bonding with the three of us, the mom and her and me.
So you shared something incredible and special,
Yeah, and so you take those energies, either the emotions or sensations, and then you start to be that character who has those energies or sensations that you had when you saw those things in the past. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, I get it. You're getting your mind and back in that state. You can draw upon the memory, is what you're saying, of an experience like that, and bring it about, because that's what actors do a lot of times, right? I'm not an actor, I don't know, but
sense memory. Sense memory is where you are taking the sense, the
yeah,
olfactory sense, gustatory sense, auditory, visual, kinesthetic, and intuitive. I would do it with the intuitive. Anyway, you find all the different senses, and if you can find, I would add in the emotional. But what would you smell? What are the things you would see? See those things around them.
Yeah.
What does it look like to you? What did you hear? Like that voice you asked me, what did it sound like when I was
yeah,
there's such a calm, and it was so resonant, and it was so soothing and so accepting. That voice just puts me into this drifty, floaty place in my head if I think of it.
yeah,
So you find any of the sensations. Start with well, it depends. I start with the emotions because probably because I'm a girl, and emotions are very easy for me to discern. But you could start with visual, or you could start with auditory, or olfactory, or gustatory, or touch. Whatever you start with, make it the one that's the easiest for you. Like for me, it's emotion and kinesthetic. Those are where I would start. But you might be different.
I know for me, I've tried to draw upon those two instances I told you about earlier where I felt that overwhelming compassion, love, and it's helped sometimes to draw upon it. I really go to the one with seeing my son before he was born, because the other one, really, I try not to get thinking about the experience with, even though I've thought about it a lot. It's hard for me to draw on that final moment because of all the weird, dark, crazy stuff that happened before then. I was driven to my brink by this, whatever this entity was that I was saved from. I mean, it's crazy. It made me want to do this show because I want to give people an outlet or a forum or somewhere they can feel comfortable or safe to talk about these kind of subjects and experiences and not be judged for it.
Mm-hmm.
But, drawing upon those experiences made me think, me and my wife, our honeymoon, we went to Asheville, North Carolina, and to the Biltmore.
Oh, I love the Biltmore.
Right? And it was the first time I ever got to see it. And you can ask my wife, we went in there and we had some weird stuff, middle of the day tour. Weird stuff happened, middle of the day tour. Not happened to anybody but us. And I think it's because the reason I knew I was going to marry my wife on our first date is because we could talk about this stuff. I never had a girlfriend ever be able to talk in depth about the spirit world or UFOs or, any of this subject or have an interest, or not look at me weird. So I was like, I'm marrying her, first date. Anyways, we go to the Biltmore on our honeymoon. And one of the things that happened is we're going up a stairwell. And we hear a lighter click. And there's other people with us, going up on this tour. We hear a lighter click, and I smell the cigar smoke. One other person was on the tour did smell that, too. But this is like the Biltmore, don't take photos. Definitely don't smoke. But there was nobody there smoking. Then we go into this bathroom. And remember, I've been, at this point, been doing a lot of, meditation at that point, and I was getting really pretty good at seeing auras and stuff. But we walk into this bathroom, and I'm like, oh my God, I can almost see an aura around the bathtub. And I see a figure, translucent. And I'm telling this to my wife because people had stepped out to go to the other room. She goes, I see it too, Jason. She's like, I see that. I'm like, you can see that. It's like there's almost like this water of energy in the tub, and there's a person there. She goes, yeah. And we're both like, and we waited. Some other people came in, and we just waited to see it. Nobody else sees it. So we're having this shared experience. And I think about it, it's because we were excited to go there. Both of us love big houses. Both of us were wondering if it's haunted. And it's like it opened itself up to us to show us these two things, these two experiences, and while other people are just like, oh, I'm on a tour. But we were so excited and we're already been open to this that we actually had experiences nobody else around us is.
Yeah.
Shared.
Yeah. That'll happen the more you prime yourself, like with the meditation or like with, doing things that you find fun or appreciative. You'll get that more and more and more. By the way, I've levitated a couple times. Can I share it real quick?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
The first time I was in a class, and it was like a healing class, and the director said, or the teacher said, "Is there anybody who wants to volunteer?" So I said, "I'll do it." So he goes, "Okay, lie on the massage table." So I lie down.
Yeah.
And then he's doing something, and he's talking to the class, and he's talking to me, and I'm doing whatever he's saying to do. And then he says, and I didn't feel it. Then he says, this doesn't normally happen. And everybody laughs. And I looked, I opened my eyes. He goes, don't open your eyes. I opened my eyes, and I was about this high off the massage table.
Oh, wow.
And I fell right down. But everybody was laughing, and I didn't know. He goes, I've never had that happen before. I said, me neither. And so that was funny. And then I was in Australia, and I was getting a massage in the hotel room, and this girl, this girl, her name's Ava. I seen her in Australia like 6 different times, and then in New Zealand. Every time I would call for masseuse, it'd be Ava. She's from Poland. I loved her. But anyway, she was working. This is the second time now she was working on me. But she's worked on me like 7 times. Weirdly, like there's some connection. Anyway, so she's massaging me, and she's massaging my hip, and I'm on my side.
Yeah.
And then she goes, and I'm just totally in that, I'm blissed out. And she goes, what should I do? I said, what do you mean? And she goes, you're floating off the table.
Oh my God.
I said,
that's a good massage.
Just keep doing what
Sign me up. I'll have what she's having. That's funny you bring that up, because tonight I was at the dinner table. This is my family with my sons and my wife, and my oldest son, Dean, goes, he brought up my wife had told him about her and her girlfriends doing light as a feather, stiff as a board, and that she floated. And and he brought up about my experience. I think he had heard one of my shows where I talked about being lifted up. Mine was not a positive experience. But she had the lightest feather. He goes, "Is that real?" She goes, "Well, it was for us." She's like, "Well, why?" We're just explaining like, well, when she did it, I was like, I was a boy. I didn't have any. I would have totally done it because he's like, I'm totally interested in it. But most of his other friends at school would not. Like boys. I said, it's because you're my son, kid. I said, I was a kid, I would have totally been into the lights fair, but if I would have brought that up in front of any of my guy friends, which I didn't have many, I would have got laughed at. But girls, it was easy. They were all into it, and they did it. And my wife, she said, well, you're at an age where you believe in this possibility, and there's this energy, and everybody is together and combining their energy and believing in it. And I think that's why it worked, because I had said, well, it's not been recreated under scientific conditions, but I do believe it's real,
For sure.
But his interest and fascination, I'm like, I'm proud of you, kid. Because most, like you said, girls, it's easier. Boys, it's a little more judgmental. But I'm raising him right. To open his mind to these things.
Of course you are. We have power. This is my bent spoon. I bent it 3 days in a row.
Oh, Uri Geller style.
No, just I don't know. I forgot the girl's name who taught us, but it was so I bent this 3 days in a row because once it went like this and then I twisted it again. You can see there's three. You can see it.
Oh yeah.
Sort of. It's hard to tell. There it is. So you can see there's three loops. Well, so I had done this, and then I was there was a gardener who was coming, or a plumber who was coming to fix something outside, and he was trying to open some older thing, and it wasn't opening. And he said, I'm gonna have to get the clippers and just clip this. And so he went to his truck, and while he was at his truck, I was starting to do the same mind thing to that, and I was just like, okay, you're gonna open, and I could just feel it opening, and so he comes back and he's about to clip. I said, before you clip, can you just see if you can open it? And he goes, yeah, and it opened. And he goes, whoa, what happened? And I said, I don't know. It's interesting, huh? But yeah, it was interesting. But it was so fun, and we have that kind of power. So light as a feather, stiff as a board. If you really get into it and you believe it, of course you're going to have that experience. And I am an acrobat, so of course I'm probably going to have flying experiences, or floating or lifting or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I love that kind of stuff. I love going upside down on people's hands and people's heads. It's my thing.
Yeah, I mean, my wife was a gymnast. I mean, so she was, it was totally on her personality. I'm just waiting. My son's birthday is at the end of the month. He wants to sleep over with his two buddies. I'm like, is he going to be like, hey, guys, you want to try light as a feather, stiff as a board? No, like say, well, that goes over for his friends. I don't know. I might have not helped him. I don't know.
That's so cute, though. I love it.
But I want them to be, I've raised my kids to, be open to these ideas, and this, they go to Bible school and they go to church once in a while, mother-in-law's influence. but in here, we have, like, in my living room, I have a Tibetan Buddhist a picture up back, probably similar, like, I think you got something like that back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Tibetan Tonka.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's the goddess of compassion, Tara, white Tara.
I don't know the meaning of mine. I just thought it was pretty. One of my past lives, I was a Buddhist monk. I just say, and then on the other one, I got Salvador Dali's Last Supper. Like we're open to all different beliefs in this household, and especially we tell them we're into Jediism. We believe in the Force.
I love it.
But when I was a kid, I remember there's this new show out called Ahsoka, and there's a character that's not supposed to really have the Force, but she's like trying to move a cup. Like that is Star Wars. The person that wrote that part of that show, that's a true Star Wars fan, because he knows every kid that watched Luke grab his lightsaber with the Force, sat there with their cup of milk or cocoa or whatever, and tried to move it with their mind. I did that as an adult, trying to move a cup of coffee, and I swear to God I did. I've had a pendulum. This is where I believed in the power of pendulums and stones. I had a pendulum, and to this day, I don't know if it was the ghost doing it or it was my own energy, because you can feel when you have a pendulum, you can feel the energy in it. You can feel the vortex it can create. It's like I don't know. I can feel the energy in it. I can feel where it's almost going to move. And they say it's it's your micro muscle movements making it move. Okay, one time I was in a very haunted house, so it could have been the ghost that did it, but we're standing there, and the pendulum goes up. And it just hangs in the air like 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, and goes down.
Nice.
I don't know if that was me or the ghost.
Yeah.
But pardon me, I could feel the energy of it holding there. Like, I don't know, like I was like totally in tune with it.
Yeah. There's so many. I was driving in my back of my car. I was getting divorced. Like, this is like 16 years ago, 17. And I heard this noise in the back of the car, so I get out, I park, and I get out and look in the back, and there's nothing in there. It sounded like a dog. So I get back in, I'm putting my seatbelt in, and I feel the dog that my husband and I had together, but he had passed.
Oh.
Ruby. And so Ruby's like all over me, and
you can feel her and everything. Oh.
It's actually a boy, Ruben, but I called him Ruby.
Oh boy, sorry.
He's kissing me all over, and I feel him, and I'm like, Ruben, what are you doing here? And he's like, you got to call my husband. You got to call him. You got to call him. And I was like, why? I don't want to call him. I'm not going to call him. We're getting divorced. I'm not going to call him. And he's like, you got to call him. You got to call him. I was like, I'm not going to call him. He's like, you got to call him. I go, why? And he goes, because he's getting a dog and it's going to be me. And I'm like, oh, Ruben, he already thinks I'm, freak. I'm not going to call him.
Right.
So I go to bed that night, and Ruben's still all around me as I'm falling asleep. And then I wake up in the morning, and he's all over me again. And I'm like, Ruben, and he keeps like insisting. So finally I pick up the phone and I dial, and my ex-husband answers, and I said, hi, is this an okay time to interrupt? And he said, yeah, what's going on? And I said, he goes, I'm just in the car with Nikki, with his daughter. And I said, cool. I said, I think I got a message from Ruben, and he's silent, and he goes, what'd he say? And I said, he said, you're going to get a dog, and it's going to be him. And he silent for like 2 minutes, and then he goes, we're driving to Santa Barbara to pick up a dog.
Oh wow.
Like, there's so many times that somebody is coming to talk to us.
I believe in the animal spirit thing. My first real pet was a cat named Patches, and I'll never forget, after she passed, I saw her on my bed because she would sleep with me a lot. And I could see her just in the hazy, dim moonlight coming through the window. I could see her. I could hear her purr. I just, tears came down my face, but I was, I was like, it was a joyful moment,
Yeah.
And then she was gone. I felt. I mean, we're going through something right now. Weird. I'll tell you a weird story. We talk about pets and psychic ability. I had this dream in like 2019 of my oldest dog Bella passing. And in the dream, we're outside. The vets are putting her down outside, and my kids are there. My oldest son's wailing and crying, and my youngest son Liam puts a little. He was 4, puts a little dandelion by Bella's head. And the sun was setting. It was beautiful. I had that dream, and I remember telling my boss at work, who, he's gay. His children are his fur babies, so we talk about our dogs, And I said, I had this dream Bella's going to pass. I don't think we have much longer. But I didn't think the dream was real. I've had a lot of dreams that come real, and I should know when they are, because in the dream I'll go, I've had this dream before, and I did in that dream. But I didn't think it was real because I'm like, why would we? One, I will never bring my children to have my dogs euthanized. I don't want them to have to go through that. I'll have them say their goodbyes, but I don't want them to be there. And 2, why would it be outside? Well, I didn't know COVID was coming. And here comes this happened during lockdowns, and I remember walking out. We had to walk around the side of the building. As soon as we started walking around the side of the building, that hit me, the dream. I'm like, oh my God, this is the dream. And there we were, right where we was, and it all happened just as it was. Dean was wailing, and Liam put when Liam put the little flower, I was like, wow, this is it. I dreamt this a year ago. And we've had, a month later, sadly, we had to do it again for our other dog, Asia. They grew up together. So when Bella died, Asia just stopped eating, and she was 15-year-old pug, and so it's hard for me to talk about it even 3 years later. And still 3 years later, I got a 7-year-old that when he's upset or tired, he goes back to that moment, and I hate it because he was 4 years old and he went through that. I think it was his first realization of death. Because I remember when he put that flower in her head, he wasn't crying or bawling, but when we got home and he realized Bella wasn't coming home, that hit him. And he's had some problems with depression. I was like, did I really screw up? I didn't have a choice. Nobody could take him because of COVID at that time. So we've had a lot of talks in this house about death and them, and they've heard Asia, who's a pug. She would snort a lot. We've heard her snorts in this house.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear to God, I've seen Bella too in this house. So it's like I believe they're still here with us. We're in a search for a new dog. Mm-hmm. And I'm one of those people. It's like I told my wife, I'm like, we got to let the universe decide this. Every time we tried, we did. I went and got a dog this summer, and it was a big mistake. And every voice in my head told me, don't do this. And I did, stupidly. Got this dog, was a puppy and a big dog, and it was not what my wife wanted to deal with. So that was bad this summer. But I said it's because we didn't listen. I said it has to be one we don't search for. It kind of falls in our lap. And we keep looking and searching, and we went to go get see a dog the other day, and as soon as we walked in the door, I saw the people at the counter, and I'm like, nope, they already adopted her. I knew right away as soon as we walked in the door they were adopting the dog we came to see. I'm like, see, it's got to be a dog that falls in her lap. Well, my wife's been wanting a French bulldog, and I walk out of my work, and I just got done saying this to my coworkers about, like, we're looking at this other dog. I'm like, it's got to be a dog that falls in her lap. I walk around the corner, and there's this lady that works at this store, and she's got a pregnant French bulldog that she brings to work. And I'd heard she had a dog, never seen it, but I go, is she pregnant? And she goes, oh, yeah, a couple more weeks. It's like, and there's another person there, like, are you selling the dog? She's like, I might. She's like, here, come visit me a couple weeks. So maybe the universe will answer that. And, maybe I would love to hope that they are reincarnations of our other pets. I love that idea.
Yeah, well, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed or transmuted.
I think the pets also send other pets too, because we had that when we lost Patches, and when I was living with my parents and we lost Patches, my parents took all their pets passing very hard. When we lost Patches, it was really hard on us, but like 6 months later, on June 6th, Bulls Championship, this cat looks just she looked like she was a long-haired version of our other cat. She looked just like her, and she was a stray, showed up at our door. And of course, we named her Six because of that. It's all the sixes. Evil cat. But she wasn't. She was awesome. But I swear, I think Patches, because it was not long before, it was not long after I had that experience with Patches, Six showed up.
Nice. Yeah.
So it's like she came to me to tell me.
I love it. I've been smelling roses. And I have roses outside, but I smell them inside, and I've smelled them at other places where they don't have roses either. And it's just been a really interesting, it's such a beautiful smell. And I've just been having it the last couple of weeks, and I'm not sure why I'm having it, but I like it. It's a really
usually in the paranormal field, I mean, when something negative has been removed from a location, like an exorcism or a cleansing of a location, a lot of times people will smell roses.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I didn't have any exorcisms. There's nothing.
No, I'm not saying you did. I mean, you were levitating. As long as your head doesn't spin around, you start puking pea soup, I think we're good.
No, I actually am of the belief that there are no demons or no devil or anything like that. That everything that is a negative thing is based on people's fear or misinterpretation, because like when you are in fear, you can't perceive things correctly, right? Just like we were talking about with propaganda, and that whole, for me, that book you talked about, I never met a dead person I didn't like. Yeah,
the commercial.
A dead person who isn't totally loving, totally fun, totally free, totally happy, totally, amazing. So that's been my experience. And even when I was a kid, when I didn't understand it, like the carnations, that was my experience too. I mean, you felt that he loved her. You felt that he was here and he was loving them, and me too. And it was really interesting. You know, it's always been, since every single one I've had has been about love. S- Although, like, I knew that something happened to Teresa, and when I called her mom and dad had been in a plane crash. But I knew.
But that's love too, because you love your friend and you want to be there for him.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, like, the beauty of it all,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful. And I just can't imagine. And when you were talking about aliens before, this was somewhere, I think in your news thing, you were talking about aliens.
Well, Peru, probably, or talk about the alien invasion protocols for the school.
That's right. But you know what I thought? I thought, like, why would, like, animals are really great with me. Animals love me. I've talked to moose. I've been up close touching moose. I've had wild dogs come snarling at me and then walking right next to me because I'm so cool. Relaxed, cool. I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm also, like, just like chill. I'm pretty chill. Anyway, so um, when we were talking about the animals and I forgot what I was going to say. What was I going to say?
Something about the aliens. I
Oh,
did
yeah.
have the animal mutilations. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. No, but with the animals, I just assume, like, I can be smelling a flower and a bee can be right in there, and my nose and the bee can be touching, and it doesn't. I'm not afraid or anything. The bee doesn't hurt me, and I don't hurt the bee. Like, and I see
Bees
that.
smell fear.
Oh, well, maybe that's it. I don't have it. So, but the thing that's so interesting is that, like, or what I do anyway, I don't know. I'm like, okay, aliens, because I watched the Senate congressional
The hearings. Yeah.
the aliens. So I said, okay, if you guys are here, I love you. Be loving to me. We'll have fun. I just was like, let's have a good time. Because, like, I don't want to be afraid of anything. I just figure everything's going to be fun. If I'm having fun, it's going to be
See,
fun.
my wife will go. We go parent. We took our kids on their first ghost hunt at St. Augustine Lighthouse a couple years ago. They loved it. But my wife will do all that stuff. None of that stuff scares her. But man, the alien thing, no. That she's like, if we see one, if one comes down, I'm running. I'm gonna be the one walking up, going, "Hey," even though I know I'm probably gonna have a bad time. But she was not gonna mess around with that. Like alien abduction, like I think I made her watch Communion once and Fire in the Sky, and she's like, "No, mm-mm." But the whole disclosure thing, I do feel like it is a controlled mechanism of fear. Mainly for military budget.
What is a controlled mechanism of fear?
The slow rollout of disclosure in the media and the government.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, if they really want to get into fear stuff, they'll talk about it. They'll start talking about the alien abduction phenomenon. They haven't gotten into that. But the fear that we're not in control. I think there's the government part. That's why you have two sides of the government. You have one side that's denying all of it because they don't want to have the fear that they're not in control. But you have another side that wants to be like, we don't have total control. Give us more money. We need more money.
That makes total sense. Yeah, and I feel like I don't need control. My spirit has the control, and I don't care.
Well, if there are aliens here, I mean, obviously they out surpass us by technology. What are you going to do?
Well, no, I just think, like, if a moose called me up to talk to him, not on the phone, but like with his eyes, and so I climbed a little hill. I was 17, and I put in Montana, and I put my hand on the.
You and my wife would totally get along.
I put my hand on the moose's neck, and we just communed for 5 minutes. It felt like he just gave me downloads of wisdom. Like, I know that I didn't know then. I know that moose can be dangerous, but, like, it's not going to be dangerous if you're not dangerous.
Right.
So even as a kid, excuse me, and I feel the same way about aliens. I don't know if they exist or not, but I do know that no matter what happens, I'm going to have fun with them. Like, why not? Like, what's the difference?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think we've had a society that went from like the 1950s invasion alien movies, War of the Worlds, to Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind and E.T. Like we've gone, and then we have like Alien Sigourney. We had a lot of different versions of aliens thrown at us in fiction. From friendly to murderous. Carnivores are going to eat us all. So they come here and they act peaceful and they're eating gerbils in the when you're not watching. I don't know. it all depends. Like I said, what are you going to do if the aliens are malevolent, or they're benign? You really aren't going to be able to change anything. You're not going to be able to fight that. So whatever it is, it is. I just want the truth. I just want to, I know they're here. I saw a big ship when I was 16, and I had some experiences on a camping trip too. I'm a total believer. They've been here for a long time. When I was like 10 years old, I picked up, my mom had a copy of Eric von Daniken's Chariots of the Gods. And I ate that book up, then I would reread the Bible, just to find out, it must be aliens, way before Ancient Aliens. Me and my wife have a joke. We usually go to bed with reruns of Ancient Aliens up, and we said, we go to the Church of Ancient Aliens. I'm sure it drives her mom nuts.
That's great. That's great. No, but, when you're in a state of love, almost nothing can, you're so, it changes everything. This is one quick story. I'd gone to a costume party wake for my friend who died, and that's what he wanted. So it was.
He wanted a costume party for his wake. Wow, I like your friend.
Oh, he was great. He was.
Yeah.
I did a movie with him in Jamaica. I loved him, and I'd been dancing all night, and I wore this diaphanous gown with a diamond cutout where it was just like sheer and rhinestones, cut from my sternum to my pubic bone, basically. And then I had on fairy wings and an angel halo. I didn't know what I was, but I was probably the worst dressed person. But so I was out till 3 because it was such a fun party, and we were dancing, and we knew he would love it, and he was there, and it was great. And then my car had I'm not very car smart, and the car oil light went on, and I was like, oh no! And I'm looking; it's in the bad part of LA. I'm looking for a gas station. There's nothing there, so I decide I'll go to 7. I see a 7-Eleven, so I pull in, and I've got this gown on. And I go in and I said, where's the oil? And he points me down this aisle, and there's 3 guys there, and they're tatted up. They're Latino. They got the knives. They got the chains. They got the leather. They got the look.
Yeah.
And I just had this insight, and it said, just relax, be yourself. And so I said, hola, puede ayudarme? Like, can you help me? I explained that I didn't know how to do my oil, and they were immediately changed. Their whole attitude changed. And they walked outside with me. They checked my oil. They told the guy what kind of oil I should get. They went and got it. I bought it. We went back outside again, and they changed it. All 3 of them are helping. They're talking to me. And we're having this great conversation. And they were so excited to help. And I think that kind of defenselessness is really important, whether you're talking about a moose, an alien, a cop, whatever, to be in that state of relaxation, or a school board teaching you about alien protocol. But if you can be in that place where you're not freaking out about it, and you're just relaxed, everything seems to respond to that I've seen.
Then you're giving out positive vibes to them to put them in a non-defensive state,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Those guys were so sweet. They were so beautiful and so helpful, and totally took care of me. And I hugged them all after I was over. Muchas gracias. You're my heroes. And then they were all like, cuidarte, take care of yourself. It was so sweet. It was so sweet. And so it's really important, I think, to bring that relaxation, that defenselessness with you, no matter what's happening. And then whatever happens, it's not a big deal. It can't hurt you.
We got to go to our last commercial break. We got a half hour left, and we'll keep the phone lines open when we come back from this commercial break, guys. You can call in, join the conversation, ask a question of our guest, Karen Lorre. She's the author of Chronic Pleasure, or Effortless Enchantment and Chronic Pleasure in Relationships. When we come back from the short commercial break, call in, join the conversation. Oh, yes, got to get the books up there. Hold on, show the books again. Show the books. Get the books.
What did I say? Okay. Chronic Pleasure, Effortless Enchantment. That's a memoir. And it's Chronic Pleasure relationships, mostly for women.
All right. You got another?
No, that was it. I'm writing my next book. 3.
Okay, all right. We'll talk about that when we come back from the short commercial break with our guest, Karen Lorre, after the short commercial break. It's going to be short.
Intercepted the transmission of unknown origin.
Transmission? Out here?
SOS.
Human.
Unknown.
Alien. Certificate X. Exclusive engagement at the Odeon Leicester Square. Now.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated. I don't want to hear all this.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and InterfaceDeath.net.
This is an APAC studio presentation.
Hi, I'm Barry, owner-operator of Barry's Barometer Barn. Lately, I bet you've been lying awake at night asking yourself, how many barometers do I really need? Well, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we think you need more than one. Otherwise, we're gonna go out of business. Remember, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we don't know the meaning of high-pressure sales. Come on, folks, buy another barometer. I'm trying to put my kids through college, I've got a family to support, and a secret mistress who isn't cheap.
Visit Barry's Barometer Barn, 000 Storm Drive. Come on, folks, buy a barometer. I'm Barry's older brother, Larry, and every time one of you people walk past the store without coming in, Barry beats me.
This has been a presentation from Tim Morgan's APAC Studio. For more almost professional amateur comic studio content, visit the APAC YouTube channel. Search APAC 2002. That's APAC 2002 on YouTube.
When Alex Gardner is asleep, he has an extraordinary gift. The government wants it, the scientists want it. But to keep it may cost him his life. It might be better if Alex didn't sleep at all. But he cannot resist entering the dreamscape. Can you? See Dreamscape in the West End and all over London now. Certificate 15. It takes an extraordinary adventurer to enter the dreamscape.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Heat 'em up. Do, re,
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID OOJBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest has been Karen Lorre. She is the author of Chronic Pleasure, Effortless Enchantment, and Chronic Pleasure in Relationships. You can get her books at chronicpleasurebook.com. She has free audible versions up there as well, I believe she said, that you can listen to. Definitely want to check out her books after talking to her tonight. She's been such a lovely guest, and the phone lines are now open if you want to join that conversation. Have you had an experience where your mind affected your body? Or have you had, can you bend spoons? She did. We'd love to get in more into that tonight, too, about bending spoons. They like in the Matrix, I'm like Neo looking at the kid bending the spoon. I'm like, okay, how do you do that? I would love to learn. I was the kid that tried to move his chocolate milk across the table with the cup, the force. That's what I believe in, right? Phone lines are open. Join the conversation. But let's go ahead and get back to our guest. My mic, oh no, there we go. My mouse went weird, not my mic. Welcome back to the show, Karen. It's great to have you here tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We got a half hour left. I do have to say, we don't do politics on the show. I don't get into politics, but I will say we did meet through our fondness for one political candidate. I won't talk about any others, but is Robert Kennedy Jr. And I don't know about you, but I've had a hatred for all politicians and the whole last, decade of politics, pretty much. And he's the first one I've seen come across that's like actually spoken to issues I care about. When it comes to, the food we put in our bodies, the corporations taking over our regulatory systems like the FDA and the EPA and environment and pollution. He's the first one. And that's so sad. I mean, because honestly, right now, I can't name any political candidate in my lifetime that's ever covered even a quarter of the issues that he's covering. But I feel like there's an energy or a movement behind him, like a positive one, a good one. I don't know if you're feeling it or seeing it. I hope.
Yeah, I do feel that. I've known him for about 33 years, and everything, pretty much, almost everything we did, I'd say like 70% of the things I've done with him have been benefiting children, benefiting the environment, like taking kids who've never gone on a hike from Bedford.
Yeah, he does that.
Yeah, and taking them, they never had been on a boat. You have to go from Bedford-Stuyvesant on to the Hudson then to get to where we were going. They'd never been on a boat. They were just in awe. And then they got to the woods where we were hiking and they couldn't believe it. Like to see these beautiful children that just don't get enough experience in nature, and then to see how they just blossom when they are in nature with somebody who's there, who's understands it and all that stuff. He was so good, always helping the kids, always helping. If we went on a hike, we'd both pick up litter. It's just like and then if he'd be talking about the environment, he helped the Hudson. I was living in New York when he was working on the Hudson River Keeper.
Yeah.
And the Hudson was getting cleaner and cleaner and cleaner every time I was, all the time. And it was because of the work he was doing with the Hudson.
Yeah, Waterkeepers Alliance.
Yeah, and so he's just been consistently consistently compassionate, consistently caring, consistently were aware of what people need and finding a way to benefit them to do that. And he's been consistently fighting for the people versus the corporations. Like the Hudson, the whole reason
Right.
that was so polluted was because of all these businesses. But Bobby worked for the fishermen, and they had, that was their livelihood, and so he worked for them. He's constantly working for the people versus,
Monsanto. I
yeah,
mean, look at that. That was for one individual,
for one
but in a
individual.
sense, it was more. It's for everybody.
$289 this guy got through Bobby and the team that Bobby was with that worked for him to fight Monsanto, who does GMO and who also does
Oh,
all the
anybody
pest.
that any of my close friends or family, it's like Monsanto is a curse word. I mean, like I have had a deep hatred of Monsanto. The reason I will say this: there's a certain political president or president we had everybody loved that I couldn't because I knew he took a bunch of money from Monsanto. Boom, you're out. You're out of my. I can't like you at all because it's just like big pharma. It's big agriculture. There are so many big industries I have so many problems with. And I've never heard a single politician bring them up or the big banks. They all skirt those issues because they're all taking money from those people.
Right. And I, from what I've seen of Bobby, um, he's been working as an environmental attorney for basically 40 years. And in the 33 or so years that I've seen him, I've never seen him stray off his integrity.
Right.
At least in my presence, I haven't spent a ton of time with him but in my presence, I haven't seen him go off his integrity. Like I said, he's always been working with somebody. I remember once he said, "Okay, I'm gonna go do some." Oh, he had worked with Cesar Chavez,
Yeah.
for the migrant workers. He goes and he uh, when people strike, he's there at the strike for the
Yeah, the
hotel.
hotel workers in L.A.
Yeah, the hotel workers or the writers in Hollywood or the actors.
Yeah, that too. Yep.
So he's there for the people who are employed versus the employers who are working at the behest of a company, but the company's not taking good care. And so he always is working for that. He's always got his eye on how he can be a benefit to people. And he's one. I think there's a bunch of attorneys who are doing class action suits in Palestine, Ohio. So they must all
Yes.
have different.
He's involved in that. Yeah, I know because I've heard him mention that.
Yeah, so he's going to go be doing that.
Oh, I hope so.
He's done so many things. He's had to sue the EPA for the environment. He's had to sue all sorts of regulatory agencies who are supposed to be regulating the companies and regulating what the company puts out. But instead, a lot of the companies, they do what's good for them and what's good for their shareholders, but not what's good for people or animals or the environment. And Bobby's really aware of all sides of it. And the thing, like some of the things I really love, like I'm a freak about. I took a soil biology class. I have a microscope. I like
Yeah.
the mycorrhizal fungi. Like I'm into the whole way nature works. I think
The microbiome.
the microbiome of the soil, the microbiome
Yeah.
of the air, the microbiome of the atmosphere. But I was saying Johnny, hi Johnny. Bobby wants regenerative farming.
Right.
To encourage,
Exactly.
to encourage farmers who are conventional instead of going into more conventional stuff, which costs so much more money, which makes them sick, which makes their animals sick, which makes their soil sick. Instead, he wants to see if the ones who are open to it, let's be regenerative and to help them make that transition. And to me, if we had more regenerative food, regenerative farming stops the loss of topsoil. It stops severe weather patterns. It increases global cooling in the sense that you have more biodiversity and therefore you have more attraction for rain. You can bring gentle rain to deserts when you bring in a biodiversity of plants and trees and all that kind of stuff. And so he can literally, plus he won't be putting in the conventional pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, and
Or
GMO.
genetically modifying a plant to deal with your horrible pesticides that
Right.
then you have to consume with the
Right.
pesticides.
Exactly. And so he would be, it would also, he'd be taking pollution out of the soil, air, water, oceans, because if you're not using that stuff, you're not going to pollute nearly as much. And healthy soil, it sequesters water. So if there's a drought, it makes the drought more able to be handled. Your soil will hold water. It also sequesters carbon just naturally. So it sequesters carbon, and then when cows are creating methane, if it's a regenerative farm and they're wandering and they're free range and all that stuff, those cows when they make their
Farts.
yeah, they make those. There's something in the grass that
That absorbs it.
yeah, it's called a methanotropin.
Yeah.
And it takes the methane and it
But if you
changes.
lock them all up in a big facility,
Then you
yeah.
get methane that's
Right.
yeah, they need to, and if you're not feeding them natural grasses, if you're feeding them grain,
They get-
they don't eat.
They have the Prime Act right now. Thomas Massey's trying to get that through in Congress, which is trying to open it up because we basically made it so even local, meat. Somebody has cattle or whatever, can't sell it locally. They've been shut out because of regulation.
Yeah, that's not right. We need to have
Right.
animals that are local. Plus,
Write your senators about the Prime Act, people.
I will. The other thing about local that's so good is if that cow is eating local, it's eating the grass that's in your area.
Your biome.
Yeah, that meat is, if you're eating it, that meat is going to be so compatible with your system, with your own microbiome, with your own body. So it's really
It's taking in the same germs and enzymes and all the other stuff that's in your environment. That makes sense. I never thought about it that way.
yeah, it's so good. Plus, then you also, you're supporting small farmers. If you have farmers markets, go, and
Yeah.
the smaller markets and.
We have one here in Michigan City that's nice. They have it open on the weekends where you get stuff. And then there's some local farms and stuff around too. But it's like you need more of that. We need a lot more of that. And while you hear stories about big corporations buying up swaths of farmland, which is like, oh,
Yeah, we
it's
don't
like,
because the more you have processed food, part of
I used to be horrible. One thing I'll give COVID that it got me out of was eating fast food. I used to be worst diet. Like I'd go on my lunch from work and go get McDonald's, Arby's, or whatever. And now I've gotten myself, I bring my lunch every day. I don't eat that stuff anymore. And if I do eat it, I get so sick.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, the amount of toxins. One of my friends, she shared this story of how someone she knew went to McDonald's and he got they gave a 2 for 1 day. So he got 2 burgers, but he only ate one and the other one he'd put into his pocket. And then
It was like the guy from Popeye.
yeah, it was the end of winter, right? So he hung his coat up and then he didn't put it on again until
Oh, I know where this is going.
until the next year.
Yep.
And the hamburger hadn't changed.
Nope. Have you seen the one where the video of the guy's trying to feed one of these McDonald's, like a Big Mac or something like that, to a bear, and the bear's like, "Get that away from me." Like a bear knows I don't want to eat that.
Yeah.
Of course, they do like White Claw. We found out they like White Claw tonight.
Claw.
It's an alcoholic drink. I don't drink,
I don't
but
either.
yeah, that's one thing I don't. Nothing against anybody. You go, all in moderation. I don't like drinking. As I've gotten older, I pass it up now. I just don't even care. It's just I don't like how I feel.
Yeah, it has nothing attractive to me. Drinking or drugs, recreational drugs. I don't like any of it. For me,
Yeah.
everybody can do what they
Yeah,
want.
I'm not judging anybody.
I just don't feel it good for me. But yeah, so those are some of the things. And Bobby's for peace. Biden has voted for war. I think almost or every time since he's been a senator.
Oh, his whole record. I mean, I know we're not supposed to get into politics or talk bad, but his whole record is war.
Yeah, so I like that Bobby's a peacemaker. You know, he
Yep.
basically finds ways to bridge in all sorts of types of ways,
Well,
and
Kennedy's
that's
one of my favorite presidents. John F. Kennedy, is one of my favorite presidents of all time. I'm not saying he was perfect. I'm not saying everything he did was perfect. I'm a Teddy Roosevelt fan as well. But what he did during the Cuban Missile Crisis and how he fought against the military, something I've been fascinated with ever since. I had a guy, I used to go out for coffee and drink and write and, like lots of cigarette smoking. Yeah, not good for me, but I was a teenager and I'd go out, write books, read books, sit there. And I talked to all these people at this coffee place. And one of the guys there, let's just say he was involved in some drug running out of Mena, Arkansas for the Clintons. I'm not going to get into that. But he opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. And Jim Marrs, Ruled by Secrecy, did. I started getting into what is really going on, like with the world and why are things the way they are, and seeing beyond what, they don't teach you anything about in high school, about the true path of history. And I always was so fascinated by that point in history where we came so close to nuclear war. And JFK and Bobby Kennedy, in my opinion, saved us from the brink.
I agree. I mean, it seemed like there was a real push to do the war, and they said no, and so that's good. He also did in Vietnam. They were itching for him to get into the.
Oh yeah.
And he said, "I'll send, I think, 16,000 advisors." And they weren't supposed
Green
to
Berets, yeah.
They weren't supposed to fight. They were just supposed to be there. But at one point, one of his aides said, "Hey, some such and such died." And he goes, "How many men have died over there?" And he said 75. And he said, "That's too many. We have to bring them home." And he said that, and a month later, he was shot.
It was a month later.
And I think it was a month later, or
yeah, because it was October.
Right.
Of 63, and it was November when he made the order, or was it 236, whatever, Executive Order 236, to call all the military advisors home. And then in November of 63, of course, a month later, he was shot and killed.
Yeah, and then
Lyndon Johnson reversed it right away, pretty much, one of his first acts.
250,000 people, I think the next day or something like that.
Yep. We don't learn our lessons in history. We really don't.
It's kind of funny. But so and he's just always had integrity, and he picks up litter, and that's something my mom always made me do when I was a kid. I've had two stories. We love people that pick up litter, one on the Potomac, and one in her outrigger canoe. And they just pick up litter in the middle of the ocean or in the middle of the river, And I do it when I'm on a hike. I do it when I go for a walk. I do it even just on my street.
I got to do it in my front yard every day because I live on a very busy street where people just throw their trash out the window.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I see that all the time. Oh, I don't know if everybody's seen a Lost Highway. There's a scene where, what was his name? The Italian actor runs a guy off the road for riding his butt. I want to do that scene, but for somebody throwing something out a window. I just rum. I want to have that scene if you've ever seen Lost Highway. But I'm like the Native American on the side of the road crying as you throw the trash, but I'm really angry. I want to see the Native American jump in his car and drive you down.
It's so funny. When I was a little girl and I'd see people litter, I'd run, I'd pick it up and say, "Excuse me, you dropped this." And they said, "Oh, it's trash." I said, "Oh, you want to come with
here
me
you
to
go.
the trash can?"
Yeah.
I would say, "Come with me to the trash can."
Yeah. It drives me nuts that people just don't care. When I see it all the time. I see people throw junk trash out their window all the time. I literally be chasing everybody down if I went with my instinct.
They don't do that. I don't see that here. Maybe they do, but I don't.
I'm in Indiana, so I don't know if that's the Michigan City, Indiana.
Oh, okay. One of my is in Indiana.
Yeah, it's right on Lake Michigan.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, beautiful Lake Michigan. You go down there. One of these times, I have a old high school friend. She organizes a beach cleanup and stuff like that. They do a lot of environmental stuff, and I'm like, I always do it when I'm working. I'd love to go to one. At least bring my kids. They are very much get it from her. My wife is very much environmental like that too. So my kids, they see somebody litter, they probably are going to open their mouth and say something. But yeah, that's what I love about him. He's covering all the points like a real environmentalist. When I say real environmentalist, there's a lot of fake ones out there.
Right.
I call them fake because it's all a control mechanism and a lie, that they're giving you.
It's meant to take people's powers away.
Mhm.
The other one.
Oh, it's your gas stove, not
Yeah.
my private jet.
Right, exactly, and it's to say, oh, you can't go more than 15 minutes or whatever,
Oh yeah, the 15-minute cities. Yeah.
Or,
Oh, you need to live in cube houses now, as they
Right.
buy up all the houses.
But with Bobby, he understands the science, he understands the environment, and he knows how to, like, what most conventional farming does, and what most businesses, what they want to do is they want to kind of force nature to give them what they want. And what Bobby does is he works
With nature. Yeah.
to get what you want. Because when you do regenerative organic farming and you have the biodiversity, you get more abundance.
You get better food. You get food that actually has nutrition.
Right, because the nutrition comes from the soil. And
Yeah.
conventional farming kills the soil.
They've already shown studies that the vegetables you're getting in the supermarket from these big agricultures have way less mineral and vitamin content than vegetables from 20 or 30 years ago.
And they're putting mRNA into the produce too.
That too. Yeah.
Right.
Well, what I've said, it's like I'm all for science achieving and discovering and making cures for diseases. I believe science can do that. But it's just like the nuclear bomb. Once the cat's out of the bag, it can be used in negative, bad ways. And the whole genetics, bioengineering is very dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me if you understand. Do you know that in genes, in the genome, genes jump, genes move location. So I don't understand how. I mean, maybe I just am not a geneticist or, whatever. But I have studied the genes because when you're healthy, when you are relaxed, when you're healthy, you turn on genes of well-being. When you're stressed, you turn on genes of disease. And your genome expression, your genome doesn't change, but the expression, it's kind of like if you have 88 keys of a piano, the keys don't change, but what songs you play changes which keys you use. And that's kind of how our genetic expression can be impacted. That's another reason why, like, the more relaxed you are and the more healthy and happy and vibrant you are emotionally, your genes literally become your telomeres, which are at the end of the genes, which copy the gene. They can grow longer, and then your genes are replicating better. This is so funny, but I've known Bobby 33 years. This woman, she was talking to me, and she said, "Are you single? My son is looking." I said, "Oh wow, how cool." I said, "How old's your son?" She said, 31. I said,
Whoa. Hey.
"Like,
Okay.
young for me." And she goes, "How old are you?" And I was like, It was just funny. But you get when you're relaxed like that. Like, my hair was thinning. My hair's so thick now. It's like it's so thick. It's gotten in terms of scrunchies. I used to have to do 3 scrunchies to make a ponytail. Now I only have to do 2. That is science.
I do have to say, I mean, I got to be doing some things right because I see a lot of people that I went to high school with, and I'm like,
You still have your hair.
I still have my hair. I don't have a beer gut, and most of them are turning gray. I'm like, I turned 44, and I get people that don't believe I'm 44 all the time.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I can't say I live the most healthiest lifestyle, but I got to be doing some things right.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And you have fun doing what you're doing. I think that's part of it.
This show, you want to talk about? We talked about on the show that synchronicity brought me doing the show now 8 years together. And it's my church. It's my spiritual place to come to talk to everybody else that's like-minded and even sometimes different-minded. But to have discussions and talk about things I care about. And oh shoot, I think somebody was trying to call in and then it hung up on them. Well, we're almost done. But yeah. And the other thing I want to say real quick too about Bobby is the drug addiction in this country is so bad, and I've had it in my family. I've seen it up close and personal of drug addiction, and I love his idea about the regenerative farms, but using giving it as a place for people to spiritually take a break and to recover from addiction, to give them a purpose and something to these like farm kind of deals that he wants to do, where he gives people places they can get away from technology and everything and kind of like have a spiritual growth that you need, that something spiritual.
And being in touch with nature.
Nature, yeah.
Having your hands in the dirt, if it's regenerative organic farming, that's, to me, it seems like such a healing place. If you've ever been to any place where they're doing regenerative organic, biodiverse, biodynamic, permaculture. I was in Costa Rica once, and I've been there many times, but at one point I was there and I was in a restaurant, and all around where the restaurant was, there were these flowers, and they were like this big. But when you get in the restaurant, the flowers like this big. And I said, are these the same flowers that are outside? And they said, yeah. I said, what the fuck are you doing? And they said,
watch language.
I know, sorry. We do everything with permaculture. And that was the first time I had heard of that term. And I said, what is it? And she said, we work in harmony with the different plants and with nature. And so everything we grow is working in harmony. She said, just like basil and tomato like to grow together, so do other plants. And when you listen and you work with them, they produce an abundance and a generosity that is way beyond what you can get anywhere else.
Yeah, well, we need to learn that, because me and my wife do not have green thumbs. We're learning that hard way. We've been trying to do a garden in the last 2 years, and we've gotten some stuff, and it's really her work, not mine. And next year we're gonna really go to it, and I'm gonna help her more. But we're trying to learn as we go.
Can I make some suggestions?
Yeah.
Talk to the plants.
Oh yeah, she does.
Tell them how healthy they are, how beautiful they are, how much you love them, how they're doing such a good job. Don't pay attention to what they look like if they've lost all their leaves or whatever. Don't say, oh my God, you're dying. Don't do that. Oh, you're so smart. You're so beautiful. You're so wise, because they are. They're so smart, and they're so beautiful, and they're so wise. They're so brilliant. Plants are amazing. Plants are genius. I have a device here that you can attach it to a leaf, and then you put it in. It won't work with orchids because they don't have actual soil, but
yeah.
You put it into the pot, and then you attach it to a leaf, and it will transmit the signals on the leaf into music.
What?
Because plants are alive. They're electric.
I know that, but that's cool. I never heard of something like that.
Yeah, plant music. I think
plant music.
Yeah.
It's got to be better than most of the music I hear nowadays in modern music. But
I've actually heard of it, but I didn't know that's how you got it. How they did it.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
It's because the plants have electricity, just like we do. We have electricity on our skin.
Yeah.
Inside of us, and plants have electricity. And when you put this, it's got a ground and it's got a clip that you clip on. When you put it on, it takes the electricity in the plant, and it puts it into music. And you can change if it's going to be different types of instruments that will play it. So the device has different instruments that translate it, and then the plant has the electricity, so that it works in harmony. So it's not
cool.
Yeah, the plant
there's something new every night.
I know the plant might be making music, but the device is
translating it.
Signal of the electricity or the energy on the plant.
As long as they don't translate them to talk, because they're going to tell me how bad of a job I'm doing. You need to help your wife more. We're dying over here, buddy.
Yeah, my plants are good communicators. You gotta tell them how good a communicator they are. Then they tell you when they need something.
Well, Karen, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. It's an honor to have you on. Love to have you on again. Again, chronicpleasurebook.com. That's the website.
Yes, and that's only for the PDFs of the book. If you want the actual physical book or the audible book, that's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, those places.
The typical places. You got to go to the Evil Empire. No. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for being on, Karen. We will be back next Sunday, same bat time, same bat channel. Our guest next week is Michael Cameron. We're going to be talking about alien abduction. Yes, fun times. I don't think he had fun times on his alien abduction. But it is. We'll have to get into that subject sometime, Karen. But sometimes they turn better times for some alien abductees. Sometimes they don't. You don't know. You might have a bad time. Next week, Michael Cameron. We're going to talk about alien abduction. Thank you to everybody who shares out the show. Keep telling people about Paranormal Soup, place where the weird happens, live every Sunday night. And thank you to all of our Patreons. $2 a month, $5 a month. That does help pay the bills for the show. Thank you again to everyone. See you next week.
Thank you.